stops, no one knows. We're going head into the unknown. Na, 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 na.
Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome back to Criminality. Or if this is your first time here, welcome to Criminality. Before we get started, I would like, there's 128 of you already here, which, holy smokes, thank you guys. But before we get started, I would like you guys all to wish a very, very happy birthday to my dear friend, Malicious Intent. So I think she's finally of legal drinking age today, 21, if I remember correctly. But happy birthday to Malicious Intent. I love you. I love your face. I love, you're so supportive of me, and you've always just had my back. And I hope that you have the best birthday ever. You deserve it. So happy birthday, Malicious Intent. And then here we are on Monday. Technically, it is day 3 of the Delphi trial. And we talked about this over the weekend, that it gets a little funky because some people are considering the days of jury selection and the motions hearings also part of the trial, which I understand the logic behind it. So you do hear some that say, some lives will say that this is day 3, or updates will say this is day 3. Others will say that it's day 6. So we have been going through this is the technical 3rd day of trial. And that's how this channel is doing it. So just wanted to give you guys that little, I know she's turning 30. She's not 21. I was giving her some grace. But I still, no matter what, 21, 30, 31, whatever it is, I love you. So today, day 3 of trial, and we do have a few updates to discuss. Apparently on Saturday, before they left the courthouse, it was kind of known to the jury and the families that today was going to be a day of crime scene photos. So that everybody was kind of prepared for today to be more of a graphic day with just the crime scene photos and photos of the girls, how they were found. So we're going to discuss that. We've discussed a lot to do with the photos on this channel, because I have seen the leaked photos. So we'll kind of discuss some of what was in the leaked photos versus what we're hearing about in the courtroom. We'll go through each witness from what we know so far. And we do have a couple documents that dropped today. So Sleuthy has the link if she has time, she wants to come up. I know she's got a lot of thoughts on today. And then Julie, when she gets out of court today, if she has time and is able to come up and share her notes with us, she also has the link. So she may be joining us kind of, either one of them may be joining us sporadically throughout the live. So just a heads up there. Other than that, so we're going to go through the updates of what's been going on in court today, from people who've been in the courtroom and are coming out and tweeting, to the news, who's doing. I get why they're doing some of how they're not reporting very thoroughly, but it's also the lunchtime updates were very short. I guess that would be probably the right word. But since the testimony did have a lot to do with the crime scene and the photos of the girls, I also don't think that I think that they're trying to keep out the details from the media still. I mean, there are some. I'm going to play you a couple clips of. I just think it's tough, because on a platform like this, it's hard to say all the things, because then YouTube kind of gets mad at you. But if you're mainstream media and you're doing these reports, I get like you're still trying to respect the family and you're not trying to go into all the gory details because that it upsets some people. Like people don't want to hear it. We do hear today that there were people in the gallery that were crying. We know the family was crying. The jurors were very upset, or some of the jurors were very upset. It's tough because, and we talked about this when we've talked about crime scene photos on this channel before. There some people who report on these types of things are more empathic, and they have more of the feeling. I can guarantee you when Bob goes live, he's probably going to cry. Andrea Burkhart probably going to cry. Like that's like that's just kind of like their personality. It's part of who they are, and they're seeing it, firsthand. And although Bob has followed the case, he doesn't have the leaked crime scene photos, so he's not prepared going into like kind of what you're going to see. Obviously it's horrific. It's two little girls. She's 13, one's 13, one's 14. Like it's not like, yay, let's go look at crime scene photos. But then there's other people, and I kind of feel like I fall more into this, that I don't, it's not that I'm not empathic to the fact that these are two young children, but that I don't have like that type of gore factor necessarily. Like I don't feel it as much. So you can probably see that in the courtroom today, where some people are, very empathic. I think that it would be more so that the family's sitting there and seeing it versus the actual the photo himself. Like that would do me in. Like the family, like Anna and Carrie, like sitting there and going through it. Like that would be harder for me. But it is kind of what it is. This is a murder trial, so it's like if you're gonna go in there and you're gonna be your representative for your news station or your mainstream media or whatever, you gotta come out and report the facts. The public has a right to know what's being said in there and what evidence is being presented. And Judge Gull has taken that away from us as the public. So the media has to take on that role. It's their jobs. Like Baldwin said, journalists, it's time to start being fucking journalists. Like you can't hide the truth underneath the fact that you as a human feel sad for the fact that these two girls are gone. You have to still report it. So I don't know. I'm kind of wishy-washy on some of the updates that we've gotten. And I know that there, like I said, there's people that are in the courtroom that are going to come out and they're not going to want to report the entirety of what they heard or what they saw, because it's not going to be easy for them. So I'm hoping that we do get somebody who's just, and that can just come and tell us the facts of it and put the emotion outside of it, because I think that as the public, we need to know that. And that's kind of where I stand with it. So we'll get through the updates. I'm going to say hi to you guys. And I'm just trying to keep an eye on updates or any messages from people in the courtroom on my phone. So if you see me looking over there. So let me say hi to you guys, and we're going to get started on what we did here today in court and who testified. And we'll go through the short version of it, because we do know does anybody in chat know if Andrea Burkhart ended up making it in? I never saw a follow-up on her Twitter, so I figured she did make it in, but it is what it is. So, hey, Jenny. Hi, Joanna. What's up, the Rockaways? Hi, Catastrophe. I like Catastrophe's the tweet on the 3 Bs. It's like bullshit and bull hockey and what was it? Bullshit. It's bullshit, bombshells, and something else. It was the new 3 Bs of the state's case. Hi, Christy. Hi, Shiloh. What's up, Jennifer? Hi, Rochelle. What's up, Big J? Big J Dick. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Feminist Holly. Hi, other Teresa. What's up, Chelsea? Judge Jessica, Scarlett. Family was notified. It was so that was another thing. I should have said that too. So on Saturday, that's kind of where I was going with that. So thank you for reminding me, because I just went totally off in a different direction, which is not abnormal. The family was able to stay at the courthouse and get and view the photos that were going to be shown. They didn't have to view them, but so that they could have more of a idea of what was going to be shown in court today. So they did. So I mean, it wasn't still shocking. I don't know the right word. It wasn't the first time that they had seen them. Also, you know, they do have an option to leave. I know that sounds kind of like they do. I mean, I know like other cases where like the parents just cannot stay in there when they're going through these types of things. What's up, Tim? Hi, BH. What's up, BGOG? They all got in. Okay. I thought so because I didn't see her update that she didn't get in. She was worried that she was too far down the line to be able to get in. She did file her motion. I do have it. So we will go through that too as soon as time allows. Let's see. Criminality. The case against Richard Allen is bullshit. Bombshells. That's what it was. And the Brady violations. I was like, boom, bitches. Boom, bitches. What's up, Radar? Hi, sweet Melissa. Hi, Don. Crime scene photos have never bothered me for some reason. Hearing details, yes. But photos feel forensic and detached from the person. Maybe I'm heartless. I don't know. That's where I'm at too, Don. People have really, you know, like when this kind of became like a really big thing in the Gannon Stout case because the district attorney, when we did the FOIA request, actually sent us all the crime scene photos and all the autopsy photos. And people like were fucking livid that anybody would even want to look at them and anybody would see them. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. For me, like when I graduated high school, I went to college to be a homicide detective. I mean, I had textbooks of just tons of dead bodies. So maybe, I don't know if that, I think it's just a difference in our personalities. And I mean, we can all judge it for however we want, but it is what it is. Here to get the skinny cop facts. Hi, honey. How are you? What's up, Marshall? True crime fan girl. It's public. Yeah, it's public record. Hi, Jackie. All right, let's see. Hey, Queen Elizabeth. We don't want Allie to get yelled at again by Siegel. You know, I'll go through Andrea's motion, like I said, when time allows, but I don't foresee her. I mean, Judge Gull just doesn't give a shit. Let's just be real. She just doesn't give a shit. She's like, go ahead and fight me. By the time that you're getting anywhere and fighting me on anything, this trial's done and you still didn't get to see shit. So that's kind of like Judge Gull's just like, I don't give a fuck. Hi, Idaho Charlie. What's up, Angels? Hi, Kraken. Hey, Marissa. What's up, Judy? What's up, Jenny? I've never had issues with crime scene photos. Yeah, I think that's why I said I know some people struggle with it. I think that, I mean, I belong to like all kinds of like death groups. I know that makes people are like, that's fucking weird, Teresa. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. That's just how I am. I don't know. But I can't look at, I struggle with looking at younger children's pictures, obviously, because they're children and they haven't got to live their life. And most of the time they're taken from us for far too brutally and way too soon. And I can't look at animal photos. I struggle with those two things, but I can still do it. I mean, it doesn't, like, I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, I could never, and how terrible that would be. How terrible that would be. I would be terrible to be that family who's sitting there having to fucking look at them. That's who it's terrible for. So, you like me and find a death OG member? I'm in like Wiki Death and in just all kinds of like weird death groups. I know it's fucking weird. Hi, Cryptex. I'm uncomfortable with Libby being nude. That should not be spread around, especially for a weight-conscious young lady and her family. This, I hope, never happens. I don't think they should be necessarily spread around. And I don't know. I have not looked up Indiana law on what they release and what they don't. I would be surprised if those autopsy photos get out. But even when like the Gannon Stout ones were released, that district attorney tried to blame a different state because Gannon was found in Florida. So he actually went on like News Nation and was like, I can't believe Florida would do that. And I'm like, nuh-uh, you fucking sent them from your county there, buddy. Nice try. C-Dub. So stressed about not being able to watch the trial. I hate it. I'm trying to get used to it. I'm trying to just deal with it the best that I can. I could tell you the first day I was definitely more frustrated. I'm trying to just wrap my mind around the information that we can gather at this point. There's no change in it. So we kind of just have to do the best we can. It does piss me off. There's no reason that we're not watching this trial, that we're not watching it, right here on the channel and being able to go back and replay the bits and pieces and clip what we find that's important or new or contradicts old information. I mean, there's just no excuse for it. I do hope that at the end of the trial, maybe we'll get the audio. I mean, I think that's the best at this point we could hope for, but we're probably just going to get the transcripts, and that's going to be a shit ton of money. So, hey Kelly, what's the best transparency we get is transcripts? Yeah, okay, so perfect comment right at the right time. Yeah, I maybe the audio, especially if Andrea can fight the exhibits and the things like that. I've requested audio that legally they have to give it to us, but they're not, and so it's like, and I'm not an attorney, so what am I gonna do? Hi Charmaine, what's up, Jo? I agree. The transcripts need to be prepared. The audio is available every day at the end of the day. Yep. But how do we get it? I mean, what do we do? How do we fight that? Ooh, Sleuthy. So I don't know if she wants me to, but if she's in chat, she can tell you that it was her that sent it. But somebody sent me this really cool overlay, and it's probably like people who use this kind of stuff and are way more tech savvy than me are probably like, Teresa, you could have done that the other day. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. But she's sent me this thing that goes on my Google Earth. It like overlaid it with all the ins and outs of the map of like remember we were trying to talk about like the topography, and it kind of gives like the idea of like what the levels are and where things kind of go up and upwards. Can you see this? And I was like, that's really cool. It was probably not hard to do, and I just don't know how to do it. But I was like, I'm gonna make sure that I show Sleuthy this, so you can kind of see like as the levels go up. And you can see it on both sides, so we can kind of turn it around if we want to. Like I said, somebody who's more tech savvy than me is probably already like, yeah, of course you can do that, Teresa. Like, you just are an idiot and don't know what you're doing. And now I literally just shut my whole map down. I tried to spin it and I just shut the shit down. Shit, now I lost you guys. Watched a video today where somebody walked straight down the ravine. You want to send it to me? Or whose was it? Yeah, they walked left and went to the crime scene. The closer the lines, the steeper the terrain. Hi, Bill. Did I say hi to you, Bill? But I'd love to come be your tech support. Somebody fucking needs to, C-Dub. Somebody needs to. Ross from Nebraska says, I was out at the bridge in October one day before the arrest, and I was shocked by the terrain. So hold on, let me get my map back up since I just shut the whole thing down. And now that's probably gone because I'll have to go back and get it again. But whatever. Anyway, but if you've seen it, then that's good. We don't have to go through it. But it's just, this is not, I think shocked by the terrain, in my opinion, would be like, this is just not an area that's easily like where everybody's just going to be like bringing people to, or where you would even be like spending like any time to like be there, like to bring the girls there. Like, it's not a normal, like, it's just not a common, commonly traversed area, if that makes sense. All right, let's see what we got. Let's go through some updates from today. So the first person on the stand was Giancola. I always say his name wrong. Giancola. He's actually a canine cop from Carroll County, and he was one of the first ones. It was him and Yoder. Yoder doesn't testify, but Giancola is one of the first two that actually comes through. And okay, so if you got, I'm going to kind of continue on from where we kind of left off on Saturday. So if you guys remember on Saturday, Pat Brown was there. Pat Brown calls Mullen. Mullen contacts officers to go to Pat Brown's location. And so the officers that arrive are Yoder and Giancola. Giancola is the first one on the stand today and goes through what he saw when he arrived at the scene. He does say that he did not take any life-saving measures because it was apparent that the girls were deceased. Yoder is also now a canine cop. He wasn't at the time, I don't think, though. This one, let's do. I think they've been doing pretty decent. We'll check a couple different updates until we get more from inside the courtroom. Let me come back over here and make sure you guys can see this. All right, there you go. There's your answer on shocked. Hi, Adrian. What in the world would make a grown man think to redress one girl with the other's clothing? Sounds more like a young person would think of. Yeah, no worries, Sleuthy. Come up whenever. Come up whenever. We'll be here for a bit. You know that. A CW, what's that? Yeah, same. All right, let me make this bigger so we can kind of go through. So this is Wish TV. I give Wish TV a lot of crap because they like to use the disgraced podcasters' murder sheet as their source of information. So I give them a lot of shit, and I actually tell them like they are legit, like the epitome of Wish news. Okay, so outside the courtroom, so we're going back to earlier today. So outside the courtroom, people have been camped outside the Carroll County Courthouse in Delphi overnight to get a spot in the courtroom. The journalist says the jury is expected to hear lengthy testimony from the first law enforcement officers on the scene after Libby German and Abby Williams' bodies were found. 8 a.m., they go in the courtroom. 9 a.m., Richard Allen entered the courtroom. His stepdad, his mom, his sister, and his wife are in the gallery. I'm thinking his sister has been there, but I don't know. Nobody's really reported on it. I think she's been there every day. All members of Libby German and Abby Williams' families were in attendance as well. This is interesting to me because that means they're taking up. I don't know how like they've divided this 20 family, like the 20 seats to the family, but I'm thinking like the Patties themselves have about 20 that they would be bringing in the courtroom. I mean, they have a lot, but I don't know. I don't know how they divided that up. If it goes like with the defense families, like how many does Anna's family get? I don't know how that works. Okay, so this is the Deputy Darren Giancola. Like I said, I probably say his name wrong, but you guys know who I'm talking about. The first deputy to see the girls' bodies. So the state's first witness on Monday was Deputy Darren Giancola, who has served as a deputy and detective for the Carroll County Sheriff's Office since 2011. According to the journalist, he told the jury that he was off of work on February 13th, 2027. I don't know, I guess they must have gotten that from their disgraced podcast friends. Wrong date, 2027. We're shooting into the future. But came to work anyway after seeing social media that Libby German and Abby Williams were missing. Giancola assisted in the physical searches and pointed out on the courtroom map where he started his search. Hey, Carrie. What's up? Over 440 people in here and under 120 likes. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Thank you, guys. I read it was 10 for Abby, 10 for Libby, 10 for Alan. So in her court decorum, it was 20 for the families, but it did not distinguish between defense or prosecution. So I don't know if that got clarified. I'm sure it got clarified probably in court. I don't know though, because I'm not there. So I can only tell you what I've been told. Hi, MB Inc. But came to work anyway after seeing social media that Libby German and Abby Williams were missing. He assisted in the physical searches and pointed out on the courtroom map where he had started his search. Giancola began looking for the girls at midnight. Remember, we've always were told for so long this search was called off at midnight, and now we're learning that they didn't actually call it off until 2 a.m. So he says he started his search at midnight and couldn't see much in the woods, even with using a flashlight. He noted to the jury that he saw a disturbance near the end of the high bridge where bare ground could be seen. He said he pointed it out to a nearby firefighter, but eventually ended his search at 2 a.m. on February 14th. So State Prosecutor Nick McClelland asked Giancola, at the point you ended the search at 2 a.m., were you investigating a murder? Giancola says no, adding that he didn't believe anything bad had happened to the girls at that point. He was later sent to an address to ask questions about the girls and received a call from a person named Liggett. Just a random dude named Liggett to go to the Morning Light Cemetery. We were told somebody had found something, possibly bodies, near the creek, Giancola told the jury. Giancola said after arriving at the creek, he was shown Libby German's tie-dye shirt and shoes found in the creek. See his shoes again, but there's only one shoe found in the creek, supposedly. Someone then informed him the girls' bodies were behind him. He said he could not see the bodies when walking to the creek, but saw something white. He later said that those were the bodies of Abby Williams and Libby German. Giancola said he recognized them based on the pictures and described the states of the girls' bodies. He did not perform life-saving measures. It was apparent they were deceased. He then called the officers to close off the area and make sure no one came around. Giancola stayed at the Deer Creek scene the remainder of February 14th and said he did not leave until sunrise on February 15th. The defense attorney, Andrew Baldwin, began to cross-examine Giancola, asking questions about Giancola's search timeline, the area where the girls were found, and to better explain what their bodies looked like. Giancola was also asked what gun he used to carry at the crime scene, which he says was a Glock 17 9mm. The gun type was mentioned by the defense to establish groundwork for future arguments. After brief questioning by McClelland and the jury, Giancola was dismissed. This is where I get really fucking mad. I'm going to be honest with you guys. This is where I get mad. So Baldwin asked these questions. What the fuck are the answers? And then, after a brief redirect by McClelland, which is spelled wrong, and the jury, he's dismissed. What questions were asked on redirect, and what did the fucking jury ask? Like, come on. Like, and what are the answers? More importantly, what's the question? What's the freaking answers? So yeah, okay, great. So McClelland redirected, and Giancola got a couple questions from the jury. We don't get to know what those are per this article, and then he's dismissed. So frustrating to me. Okay, so the mainstream media sucks. They just they ask these questions, but we're not going to tell you the answers. We don't really want you to know the answers. Okay, so then the next witness is ISP Sergeant Jason Paige. He's part of the CSI of the crew. So the state's second witness was Indiana State Police Sergeant Jason Paige, a law enforcement officer for 24 years and a crime scene investigator for 16 years. Paige secured and photographed the scene in Delphi. Paige described the area behind the tape as about the size of a softball field. I'm going to show you. I'm going to bring this up just so you guys can have some. Oh, it's actually already on here. Dumb. See, I know people have shown these. You guys have probably seen a lot of these, but just to kind of give you guys some context on the sizing of it, I think this is probably one of the best. No, I want the one where you can see both. This is one of the corners. You can kind of see the hill going up that way right there. There's one where you can see both sides. Maybe this is it. No. You can see the area that's taped off. Shit. Surprised at myself that I don't actually have it in here. I'll have to look for it because there's one where I have it where you can see the entirety of the yellow tape to get a better idea of like the size of it. Which needs to sort out their shizzle. It's the Morning Heights Cemetery, not the Morning Lights. They haven't even searched it until February of 2027. So yes, I know it's a typo, and I'm just giving them a hard time. People are gonna be like, "It's just a typo. You make them all the time." Just give them a hard time. Okay, so describe the area that behind the tape as about the size of a softball field. We've heard reports of a football field. So he's saying about the size of a softball field, but focused on the area where Abby Williams and Libby German were found, or quote unquote ground zero. Of the 45 state exhibits shown to the jury during Paige's testimony, 42 of them were crime scene photos, which included several images of Abby and Libby's bodies, as well as other evidence from the scene. Family members of both the girls and Richard Allen were emotional. Much of the courtroom struggled watching. According to the reporter, Libby's mother cried. Libby's younger sister looking away from the exhibits most of the time. Libby's grandparents, Mike and Becky Patty, held hands as the photos were shown. Upon seeing a close-up image of the girls, Richard Allen's mother began to cry. And the crime scene photos and brief comments on the crime scene photos from Paige, the court dismissed for lunch. I did read another, and I don't know if I have it pulled up to show you guys, but I did read another reporter's account who said that due to tech issues, that there was a sudden showing of a close-up of Libby's face and like this area of her. That there was it just blasted onto the screen without any warning to anybody in the gallery. So I'm very curious what we're going to hear about that from the other people in the courtroom. Yeah, it was supposedly just put on there. Nobody had any warning, and so one of the news outlets talks about like there was like an audible gasp in the courtroom because it just came on, and it was just a close up of Libby. So I'm like I said, I'm curious to see more. What people in the courtroom actually have to say about that. But I'm like, come on, with these tech issues, like if you're gonna have a fucking tech issue, that is not the time to have it. Not the time to have it at all. What's up, blue-eyed trucker? Hi, Kel. Okay. So then they go to lunch, and then apparently she decides that they've had a rough morning, so that they should get about an hour and a half for lunch instead. So she lets them break early. You could read this two different ways, and I'm sure it'll be put out there two different ways. One is, why would you give them longer to sit there and think about the crime scene photos? That would, just make them more emotional instead of just getting them back into testimony. And then others would say that they needed the longer break to be able to kind of regroup and bring themselves back. Wait, hold on, where were we? Okay, so then they come back from lunch, and Paige is still on the stand, and Rosie's actually up doing the cross-examination. So he says, Rosie resumed questioning of Indiana State Police Sergeant Jason Paige. Paige said it was not his job to determine the girls' times of deaths. So they're getting into the time of death. If I had to guess or speculate, I'm going to say we're probably going to have a medical examiner on the stand tomorrow. If they don't actually this afternoon, but I'm gonna go with they're probably going to have the medical examiner on the stand tomorrow. Because it's just so late in the day, and then the medical examiners are going to, for both girls, it's going to take a little while to go through. So I believe that we'll probably get that. They're heading into it. So we're talking about the CSI. We're talking about the the moving of the girls. So that's where I'm at. Paige said it was not his job to determine the girl's time of death when asked an opinion about when that might have happened. He said, I don't know. So he's the CSI guy. He's like, I don't have anything, like, essentially, I don't have anything to do with the bodies. And he's not wrong. He really wouldn't have anything to do with bodies. He's there collecting the evidence from the crime scene. Do you know if rape test kits were given? Rosie asks. He says, I would assume, but I wasn't there. I'm so, what did I miss, Adrian? Is that all okay? Yeah, me too, Ross. So this is really not a question for Paige, in my opinion, but Rosie next asked about the sticks placed over the bodies. Paige said he's the first CSI on the scene, so maybe that's why he's asking him to see what kind of type of evidence he was collecting. We don't know if rape kits were done or not. We only know from Paige that Paige doesn't know if rape kits were done. So we're still at a standstill. We don't actually know. Rosie next asked about the sticks that were placed over the bodies, and Paige said he's seen other death investigations where bodies have sticks placed over them. Hi, Angela. It's good to see you. Okay. Okay, thank you, C-Dub. All right. I'm gonna let you guys handle that in chat. If there's something up, you can time somebody out if necessary. If everybody in chat is having a discussion, that's fine. But if there's one in particular who's just continuously putting it off topic, you can time them out. You don't have to hide them from the channel, but you can just time them out so that everybody can stay on the topic that they're discussing in the chat. Rosie next asked about the sticks that were placed. Okay, so he says he's seen sticks in other death investigations. But I'm so curious because it wasn't the whole big thing that there wasn't any other crime scenes that had sticks like this? I don't know. Hey, Yellow. I know, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Hey, John. Hey, Purple. Rosie also asked about the depth of Deer Creek, the size of the footprints found, the blood around the area where the bodies were found, and about information on the hair found in Abby's hand. And Paige responded, "You're asking questions out of my knowledge." So he doesn't know anything about footprints. I would think that that would be something he should know about. He should know if there's footprints that are found around the actual crime scene that he's now taking photographs of, right? Hold on real quick. Okay, sorry about that. My dog is I don't know what my dog is barking at, but they won't stop. So I guess I don't understand why they wouldn't know about footprints that were in the area. You would know about that. You would know about blood around the area where the bodies were found. You may not know all the details about it, but you have some answers. And he doesn't know anything about the hair around Abby's hand. Okay. Paige also revealed that he was not aware of any DNA from Alan being found at the scene. Should and did are two different things. It's true. Hey, Mace Mama. Prosecutor's next call. Hold on. Paige later explained his job. He was the 14th law enforcement officer to arrive at the crime scene. His job was to preserve the area through photography. I don't. Sleuthy, your guess is as good as mine. Reeker, your dogs start barking too. Yeah, they're like, ooh, doggies. Okay, so prosecutors next call Indiana State Police Sergeant Dwayne Datzman. He's also a crime scene technician. He's now retired, but was with the CSI. Was the CSI at the Delphi Murders crime scene. He has at least 20 years as a CSI, visiting hundreds of crime scenes. Datzman talked about more than a dozen photos of the crime scene. He talked about where blood was found on and near the girls' bodies. He also noted glitter glitter was found on leaves on the ground. He also talked about photos of the gun cartridge found near one of the girls' bodies. He said he did not disturb the cartridge. Datzman also said the sticks on the bodies were of no evidentiary value and did not have blood on them. So I guess if there's no blood, then you can't find any other type of DNA or any type of source along those lines. So they just become totally irrelevant. The sticks were later placed in an evidence storage at the state police post in Lafayette. So at some point, which we do learn that was March 3rd of 2017, they do end up taking the sticks into evidence. So 2 weeks later, they will find out, you know, that, oh, maybe there is some evidentiary value, so we should probably take them. So, oh my God, I'm just like, what the fuck? I almost, like, in reality, you almost hope that the mainstream media is reporting this incorrectly, because to think that there's 14 law enforcement officers that have already been through the scene, to think that that's 2 CSIs don't know if there's footprints or not footprints or about the crime scene itself. Like, you almost hope that this is just bad reporting and that there's actually more information coming out. And then we're reporting that there's glitter at the crime scene. So we have glitter. We'll get to, when we talk about the unspent round, we're going to talk about the how one news organization says that there was a sparkle. So we've got glitters and sparkles. Hi, Matt. Yeah, Rebecca, it's just a mess. I hope so, Matt. I hope so. Freaking hope so. Carrie, oh, that was so nice of you. Thank you. I'm over here just rambling away, not paying attention. Thank you, Carrie. Welcome to all the new members. Thank you, Carrie, for hooking everybody up. No, there's no blood. He says there's no blood. There's no blood. So this is being reported by Wish TV. So once again, I'm not in the courtroom. I am not telling you firsthand information. I am relaying what is being reported from the sources that are inside the courtroom. So you have to understand that. What is being reported here is that the sticks were not taken by CSI Datzman, according to CSI Datzman, because there was no blood found on them. Because apparently, according to CSI Datzman, with 20 years of experience as a CSI, he does not believe that you would be able to find any other source of DNA on the sticks, that it would be, regardless whether you think that they're symbolic of Odinism or Norse paganism, or you think that they're there to hide the bodies, there's no doubt that these fucking branches didn't just fall from the sky and cover the girls. They had to be touched. Yes, it's wood. It is. You have to go through a whole different process to try to get anything off of it. But there's evidentiary value in anything that a potential perpetrator had to have touched. They left him out there for 2 weeks in the elements and in an unsecured crime scene. I mean, it's crazy. I don't know if they report on it up here, but they do. We do find out that the unspent round was found on the 14th by using a light source. It's called ALS. It's automated light source, ALS. I said ASL. That's ASL's American Sign Language. ALS is an automated light source, or the disease, but in this case, it's the light source. Hi, Jax. So the unspent round is collected on the 14th, according to the CSI. Yeah, there's glitter all over the world. Probably some of the, probably some in almost every dirt sample. How much glitter is in question? Oh, yeah, like I don't know. Like, enough that it's being reported. Apparently, it's not. I mean, they're reporting it, so it has to have some type of value to them, that they, or some type of amount that they think it's enough to be able to talk about. But once again, like, there's questions that are being asked, and we're being told what the question is, but we're not getting the answers, and we're not getting the entirety of what the testimony is. Like I said, I'm doing my best not to be super frustrated, not to be super I'm trying, but it's really hard. So it's really hard to just not have a fucking clue what's going on. All right, so I guess so some of this is going to be repeat information. I'm just trying to go through the updates for what everybody has so far out there until we can hear from more in the courtroom. Let me see. All right, just checking for updates of anybody that's coming out of court and is giving us any info. Okay, so this is Caitlin Kendall on Twitter. She works with WRTV. So let's go to hers. And I'm sorry, I'm not paying attention to everything that's being said in chat. So hopefully, if you guys have something for me when I get back, when I start reading stuff in chat, make sure you repeat it if I didn't answer a question or anything like that. Let's go down. So I thought there was. Where's Regina? Oh, it is up here. Okay. Says she says it was a brutal, emotional day. 90 minutes of crime scene photos, 42 pictures shown to the jury. The jurors and family are visibly uncomfortable. 2 witnesses took the stand in the morning. Giancola, a detective for Carroll County Sheriff's Department, he was the first LEO on the scene. Emotional testimony when describing seeing Libby and Abby's bodies. Giancola said that one was nude, the other was clothed. Both had large lacerations to their throats. They both had substantial amount of blood on their person and underneath. I did hear from somebody who was in court this morning but wasn't back this afternoon that it was. I said at the beginning of this live, like I have seen the leaked crime scene photos. The person I was talking to has also seen the leaked crime scene photos, and they said that what we saw in those photos must be extremely whitewashed because what was seen in court is colorful was not the word that they used, but essentially that's what it is. That you could see that there was blood on Abby's face. In the leaked crime scene photos, Abby's face almost looks kind of porcelain-like. It doesn't have a lot of color at it. Like there's no addition. You don't see a lot of blood on her face. And unfortunately on Libby's, you can see that there is blood on her face, but you don't see any type of particular pattern because it was sent out kind of blurry. But so they did say like apparently in the photos that were shown in court, Abby did have blood on her face, which we heard in the testimony from, I always mix them up, not the Cecil, the phone guy, the other guy with the C, the blood spatter guy. I don't remember which one it was. From the 3-day hearing, he did say that there was blood on Abby's face that was running in one direction. But this is also interesting because like Caitlin is reporting that both had large lacerations to their throats. In the pictures, I saw you cannot see Abby's wound, but you can see somewhat of Libby's. Like I said, it is kind of blurry, but weren't your pics of a computer screen? No. So there's a set of 4 pictures that were kind of floating around, and in one of those pictures, it's a close-up of one of the other 3 pictures that somebody took from a computer screen, if that makes sense. So you can see the mouse hand on it, but the other ones look like they were just purposely like whitewashed or color changed or what, you know, they so that they weren't 100%. But according to the Mitch Westerman affidavits from, his arrest affidavit, he took the photos of the crime scene photos, so it gets redundant. He took the photos of the crime scene photos off of a table. So the photos were already printed, and then there was a photo taken, and then that photo is sent out and kind of changed based on like the tint and the coloring on from whatnot. So from what I am hearing from somebody who was there this morning, I was told that what we saw in those photos is nothing compared to what was actually seen in court today. That you could see very clearly the amount of like blood and whatnot that was on the girls' faces and running down their faces. I didn't ask that question, so hopefully we can get more of that answer. Yeah, they were grainy like they'd been passed around and screenshotted. Yeah. Somebody asked why we're talking about glitter. From the Wish TV, they said that there was one of the CSIs testified that there was glitter at the crime scene. CSI Datzman. He also noted glitter was found on the leaves on the ground. This could be multiple things, but once again, because it's not reported thoroughly, we don't get to understand. Okay, so did anybody follow up and say, okay, CSI Datzman, did you investigate this glitter further? Was there an abundance of glitter? Did you collect the glitter? We don't know anything else about it. We're just getting this random ass statement with glitter. And like I said, we're going to hear also about a sparkle. We'll get to hear the sparkle later too. Okay, let's see. But I was saying, the reason I brought this up was because Caitlin is reporting that Giancola said there was large lacerations to both. I did not really know. Nobody had really talked about how big Abby's wound was on her neck. So I didn't know that it was considered large. Obviously, Libby's is absolutely considered large, without a doubt. Prosecutor McClellan asked if life-saving measures were performed on either of the girls. Giancola said no. It was apparent that they were both deceased. Giancola was crossed by defense attorney Andrew Baldwin. He was asked to clarify the topography of the area at the end of the bridge and where the blood was. He testified to that Abby's pants were wet. So Abby's pants being actually Libby's pants that Abby's wearing. The state called Jason Paige, an ISP CSI. Paige was responsible for photographing the crime scene. He showed the 42 images were shown of the girls' bodies on the crime scene. Paige testified to the topography of the area of the crime scene and explained in detail all of the images he took that day. His testimony was calm, a bit mechanical, and very explanatory. And that's the kind of details I would like from about everybody to get a better feel of what's actually happening in there. Rosie's questions were heated. Oh, he's cross-examined by Rosie. Says Rosie's questions were heated when asking about the integrity of the bullet at the crime scene. Rosie asked about the lack of photos of the bullet itself or any photos/videos of it being removed from the ground. No, there's no evidence photos. There's no evidence markers whatsoever in the photos of the girls that were leaked. Not that you can see. No. It is not a wide angle, though. They're not wide angle photos. So he's really hammering in here about this bullet or this unspent round. Paige testified to suggesting that the state hire a blood spatter expert. Here, get this. A blood spatter expert after the defense became interested in a tree at the crime scene with blood that they said was, the defense said was quote unquote placed there. They named it F tree. The defense has argued before they believe the blood was a symbol of sorts. So because it's so frustrating, like I said, because I'm only taken from what we're reading here so far. If the state or the investigators just automatically assumed it was blood spatter, you're talking about an absolute bias. And this is the same thing we talked about with that fucking hair is, oh, well, they were wearing, Kelsey's clothes, so it was probably just Kelsey's hair. That's not how investigations work. You cannot just assume it and then go, yeah, we don't have to test anything any further because it really doesn't matter because we think it's Kelsey's hair. We think it's blood spatter on the tree, so we don't actually have to do anything to prove that because we just think it is, so that just must be what it is. Like, no, that is not how it fucking works. That is not how it works. You have to actually, so they don't hire the blood spatter expert, which we knew that we knew they didn't hire the one that they had testify, but now we're finding out they didn't actually hire one at all to ever prove it was blood spatter on the fucking tree. They just said, oh, it is, so we're going to say it is, and that's what it's going to be. We don't care if Baldwin or Rosie want to come in and try to say it's something else. We're going to say that it is. So now they're fighting against that third party. This is why Nick is so pissed, and why I kept arguing so much from the time the Franks memo came out of if these people were truly cleared, if this was blood spatter and it was already proven, if this bullet did have chain of custody and it was already proven, these are all things that would just be set to rest. Like, here's my information, here's what I did, here's how the investigation went, and we're done. Like, I don't have to continue talking about a Brad Holder or an F tree or any of this because I now see the proof from the investigation that it's done, right? Like, I proved what it was. No, that's not what happened in this case. So they decided it was Richard Allen. They put him in prison. They're going to use however many confessions they deem necessary to incriminate him because they didn't have the proof beforehand. They have a junk science bullet. That's what they have. They have a junk science bullet. So instead of proving anything about this crime scene for 5.5 years before arresting Richard Allen, they wait for the defense team's argument and the defense team's theory and say, oh, no, we're going to go ahead and spend all of our money now to go ahead and just try to debunk anything they say. So we're going to hire a blood spatter expert to tell us that we're right. This is the epitome of what people claim the defense teams do, right? You just go and hire somebody to go ahead with your theory of events. That's what the prosecution is doing. We don't test DNA off of a hair with a root on it. We don't bother to figure out anything about this unspent round or make sure that we have chain of custody in place. We have a crime scene photographer out here, but why would we take pictures of us collecting the bullet, the unspent round, that ends up being our biggest piece of evidence? I don't know. People who back this investigation, I have no choice but to fucking laugh at you at this point. And this has not changed my fence. And I know people in chat are going to be like, so are you off the fence? No, but I am really not on the fence about how fucked up this investigation is. So my opinion, the biggest thing the prosecution has going for them after 3 days or 2.5 of testimony that we know about, and just in general, is the fact that they're the prosecution. That human nature is to want to believe that the police did a good job and that they arrested the right person, and they're going to want somebody to be held accountable for this. Nothing is showing me right now that they did anything to prove that Richard Allen is the right guy. And I'm telling you, if you do believe Richard Allen is the right guy, you should really be pissed because this investigation is so shit. And if Richard Allen is the right guy and then he gets off because this investigation is shit, you should be pissed about the fucking investigation. So frustrating to me. So Paige says, oh yeah, go ahead. You guys should hire a blood spatter expert because the defense is over here saying this. And you guys should figure out if it really is blood spatter. I mean, should have already fucking known that. Paige was questioned by Rosie about DNA and how long it takes to test it from the crime scene. He testified, it depends. It could take weeks or days or weeks to test, but it could be rushed, which I wonder if I still have that screenshot where we get straight from the fucking horse's mouth. Did I save it? Please tell me I fucking saved it. Straight from the horse's mouth 8 years ago, where he says we're having the DNA rushed. I'm going to go find it real quick because I think you guys should see that. Hold, please. I know I showed it the other day, but I want to show it again. I even with opening statements and this hair with this root attached, I was still like, okay, maybe because they're talking, they've collected DNA from hundreds of people. I'll show you that too. They collect DNA from hundreds of people, and they haven't tested the actual DNA that they received. They had at the scene. So even after opening statements, I was like, okay, maybe there's multiple sources of DNA, and we're not just talking about this hair that we've heard about, or this DNA that we've heard about for all these years that we know they had. Maybe there's something else, because why have they tested people up until this last year? They're still they were getting DNA samples from people. Is it just for shits and giggles? How much they got all these? Test any of it? Hold on, sorry, it's gonna start bouncing back because I'm trying to find this screenshot. Just give me a second. Ignore the dings. That's my. I just want to find you guys the screenshot. Come on, I know you're right here somewhere. Where the heck are you? Shit. It's gonna piss me off. How do I lose that already? I just had it 2 days ago. This is the DNA has been collected from the scene. No, that's not the right one. You guys are probably like, move on, Teresa, but you guys know I get this stuck in my head and then I get pissed that I can't find it. He said that there's DNA at the scene and we put a rush on it. Ah, fuck me. Ah, thank you. Here. Somebody sent it. Somebody sent it to me again because I lose my shit and apparently can't keep track of it. All right, let me get back to you guys. And then there's this clip. Let me play this clip. Where's the clip? The person who just sent me that, I don't want to say her name in case you don't want it out there. Where's the clip with the 300 people who were tested? Where's that one? Or the 300 people had been interviewed and most of them had been tested. Here it is. So Lesenby did say they have asked for DNA evidence to be quote unquote fast tracked. Quote unquote fast track that DNA. Eight years ago. And then let me show you this other one. Let me find it real quick. I say real quick, like you guys know that that's not true. Oh, I think it's this one. Nope, not that one. Where did that one go? Where's the one about the 300 people being looked at? We were just talking about that earlier. Hopefully she'll send me that one too, and I can show you. If I was on the jury, I would want to hear what happened with ISP versus FBI. Yeah. All right. If she sends me that one again, then I'll show you guys that. Anyway, I'm just trying to get myself off my rant. Takes a test from a crime scene. He says it depends. It could take days or weeks or to test, but it could be rushed, which we were told that it was. What's up, TNT? Rosie began asking questions about why the bullet wasn't photographed once out of the ground by itself. He said, Rosie, wouldn't it be helpful to know that the same cartridge plucked out of the ground was the same one to be used in this courtroom? And CSI Paige is like, yes, it would. He also said, how is this a bullet affects the case is not my interest. Anything we see that could be evidence, we just take pictures of it in its place. Paige testified that his main responsibility was to photograph the crime scene. He was not responsible for moving the bodies, deciding what, if any DNA should be tested, etc. And that's very common because you don't typically have your CSIs doing everything out there. You have specific CSIs that are in charge of certain things. But if he's in charge of the photography, then I'm still confused on that. The state calls Dwayne Datzman, who is the CSI. He's now the retired CSI. Okay, I think court is out for today. FYI. Dwayne Datzman to testify. He was an ISP CSI at the time of the murders. His testimony centered around the photos he took at the crime scene from an aerial view in a helicopter and from on the ground. Datzman testified to finding the bullet at the crime scene between Abby and Libby's bodies. So Datzman is the one who found that. All right, let's see what else we got. So it looks like court is out. The photographer that said he took crime scene photos of J. Kyle Keener, I don't know if he ever said he took the crime scene photos. Other people, he had taken photos from the bridge area where he said that you could see the bodies and that he had posted them, and then they made him take them down. I think other people tried to say that J. Kyle Keener was like taking the crime scene photos. Hold on. All right, let's see what's new from this afternoon. Oh, that's Andrea Burkhardt. She's like, I did a thing. We'll talk about that too. Catastrophe. Look at you. Other scenes with sticks. There's an attempt to say the girls. Let's see. I'm just trying to find somebody in court. I don't see anybody coming out of court yet that's reported on anything from late this afternoon. Last reports we have were from the afternoon break. Julie said she's grabbing something to drink. She's dying of thirst. If you guys don't know and you guys haven't heard that they can't have anything to drink in the courtroom. You can't have water or anything. So when they leave, they can go out to the water fountain and get something to drink, but they can't have any type of drink inside that courtroom. They're also when for lunch, apparently this is just crazy to me. You're not guaranteed your spot for the day. Like if you're in line in the morning, you're not guaranteed your spot for the entire day. You're only guaranteed your spot for up until lunch. So let's just say like I don't want to go to the morning one, but I want to go to the afternoon. So I just go, when I think lunchtime is going to be, and I just go stand in line. I now become number one to get back into the courtroom. Like, that's just crazy to me. Like you're not guaranteed. So people aren't leaving for lunch. They're not eating. Some are, some aren't. So you got to get right. You have to like leave and get right back in line. Like that's it. It's like some are just walking out the door and standing in line again so they can have their afternoon spot. because there's only like 20, I think it's 24 seats for the public. All right, Sleuthy sent me that. Let's play that real quick while we wait for a couple of the updates from inside court, and then we could talk about the motion in limine too. But let me pull up Sleuthy's. Whose video is it? I guess that's going to be the first question. Are they going to get pissed at me for playing it? Oh, it's True Crime Designs. No, she's not going to get mad at me. Okay, I'll play this for you guys. This is from True Crime Design. I'm just going to put this up here. I'll let it play. It's just talking. So it's going over like how the slope is and where the ravine is, which I was trying to show on the map, but I couldn't. Hey, there she is. Hi, beautiful. Did you get yourself a Diet Coke?
You talking
or
to me?
water?
Yeah, this time I got me a Diet Coke.
Look at you.
Oh my goodness. This was a long day. They actually had to cut it short because there hadn't been a cross-examination yet of the last dude. Right now my brain's fried from listening.
Who was on the stand last? Was it still Datzman or no?
Yes,
CSI Datzman?
Yes, still that Datzman guy. Yeah. Yeah, yes. He was it was interesting to get different people's take on that. Did you already cover that
I just went over who testified, a little bit about what they testified based on the reporting from mainstream media and a couple of the podcasters that have tweeted. But it's really bad reporting, Julie. Like we're hearing like Rosie asked.
I'm sitting here in a parking space debating whether we're going to drive home an hour and a half or an hour and 10 minutes. I'm sitting right across the street, actually. Can you guys see? I'm sitting across the street from the courthouse. I don't know. Can you guys see that?
Hold on. Let me put you on full screen. Hold on one second.
I don't know if you can see this. Here, let me. Can you see I'm right here at the courthouse? There's officers over there at the courthouse. And this is where I'm sitting because there's Barbara McDonald walking here. You'll see her right in between this van and this. She's right. You'll see her in a minute. There.
There's no way we could tell who that is. We just see a person walking.
Okay. Well, trust me, that's Barbara McDonald. Oh my gosh, I got to talk to Bob some today because he knows Andrea. And then I got to meet Allie. They're so nice.
Was Allie in court? I thought I saw a tweet that she was going to be outside the court. Was she actually in court?
Yeah, she came in. She came in after we had a break. After the afternoon break, she came in for a little bit. Yeah, so she was in there. Andrea, there was I don't even know. Do I tell a bit of the scuffle? Tell me what's out there. Where's Sleuthy?
She was finishing work and then she's got the link, so she's gonna come up.
Okay, because I just want to know, has anybody in the chat, since I can't see the chat, did anybody was there any troll reporting of anything regarding me today?
Not that I've seen.
Okay, good. It'd be really silly if they did. It was just that
I haven't followed any YouTube stuff though. Okay. Like any of the YouTube the outside of the lawyers that are there. I haven't looked at any of theirs. I haven't looked at any of their stuff. Sleuthy, can you check Messenger real quick?
Man. This was
so what was the scuffle? Was it a kerfuffle? Was it a kerfuffle, a scuffle, a tuffle?
You know what? I'll wait until if this person doesn't say anything, I just gonna let it go. It's really stupid. People don't understand. If you have somebody, if you're paying for somebody to stand in line for you, and there's two people, and when you get there, you and the other person exchange because those two people have been there the whole time since 2 a.m. and all you do is a switch. There's still two people ahead of you. What's the problem? Because I look different than the person that was standing there now. I mean, that So it wasn't anybody. I mean, that was pretty much the known thing. If you cut in line, that's one thing, and yet that means you're disenfranchising a person to go in. But if you're person for person, because some people are paying people to stand in, then you're person for person. It's way better than setting up 5 chairs and sitting them empty and thinking that that's okay. To me, that's cutting in line. But and it's cutting in line if you're not exchanging person for person, you know.
Right, because there's 24 spots. So if you're in line, you know that you're 1, you're 2, you're 3, you're 4. So even if like I'm in line and then I leave for you and we switch spots, you're still number 4, like you're, you know, or whatever number I am.
Exactly. I don't know why. There really was only one person that had a problem with it, and then the one guy that has a warrant out for him. I guess that one guy, won't say it. That guy, you know, that yeah, he's like, oh, I'm gonna go out and do it live. I'm gonna do it live on this. I'm like, it's. I'll tell you behind the scenes. So hopefully I don't have to ever mention it, but I will tell you every detail if I have to, as long as people just hush about it. It's not a big deal. Then I'll let it go. It was just ridiculous. But anyhow, there was a little bit of a getting some heated stuff in there. So, anywho.
Andrea Burkhardt said she was extremely grateful for you this morning.
Oh, she's a really nice, she is a class act, and she's very intelligent and so nice just to sit next to somebody like that. Okay.
So she did. So obviously that was a question that people had earlier, was if Andrea had made it into the courtroom. We now know that Andrea did make it into the courtroom. So
yes,
that's good. Okay.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'm going to be honest here. When it comes to the line bullshit, this is another fucking goal fuck up. Like, she should have put something in there where it's like, you walk up, you get your number. Here's your number. Number 1. Here's your number. Number 2. Here's your number. Number 3. That's
Andrea. So Andrea's going on at 7. Lawyer Lee's going on at 7. Our time, you know, that's in like 35 minutes. They're going on at the same time. Bob and Andrea.
That's fine. We're going to listen to you.
Okay. Okay.
And then we'll listen to them.
Bob and Andrea both said that they think that Gull did this purposefully. Like, she wants chaos. This is like, she could, she's known this is a huge case. She knows all about this, but you know, she wants chaos amongst us out there because the whole process is it's just bad, going up and down the steps. You know, you really don't get a break. If you take a break, you may not get back in. So a lot of people are lining up as soon as they walk out of the courtroom. They're lining up immediately. So you might go. So if you line up after, when they say lunch break, you line up. You don't get anything to eat unless you brought up granola, and you cannot eat or drink in the courtroom. Now, you can take a bottle of water with you or a snack, but you can't do it inside the courtroom. So they do allow it to actually come.
Can you shove like a sandwich in your purse and then like eat it while you're standing in line? Like, if you take it with you for the whole day and then like eat it like while you're in line to go back in at lunch?
Well, my husband was so sweet, and he made these cookies, but I had them in a backpack, and they're smashed chocolate chip cookies. I never get to eat. I was going to pass them out, but I'm like, nobody's going to want. Yeah, but they smell so good. I can still smell them. I'm serious. I'm about ready to eat some right now when I'm talking. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. But yeah, so Bob and Andrea said this was an organized chaos, and that's what she wanted. She's ready for people to start duking it out there, you know. And you know, really, there's no reason for the way things are done.
It's gonna be so much easier.
So much easier, but that's not how she wants it. So. And then I don't know if you knew Andrea filed. I
do. I have it. We haven't gone over it yet, but yeah, I do have it. We just haven't talked. We kind of talked about that she filed it, but we haven't gone over it or talked in depth about it.
Yeah, and she filed it. I think she filed it. What's it called? Pro se. I'm learning all this lingo. Pro se, because she's from another state, and Bob was concerned that like. He goes, I wonder how she filed it because she's not from this state. And I wonder how the Gull will take it because it's not from Indiana. And then I said something to her, and I think she had filed it somehow under Kara Winnicky, but somehow pro se, however that works. You know more than I do. All your viewers know way more than I do. But I'm listening to the lingo and trying to catch up on it, pick up on it. But yeah, she filed it because it has to do with the recordings that are supposed to be the public access. Same thing that, Allie was worried about, or got in trouble yesterday when she was looking at the like some of the photos, and she was leaning over and she got up, she was kind of looking, and one of the news reporters said to her, what are you doing? Are you a member of the defense? You can't do that. She goes, well, yes, I can do that because once it's admitted into evidence, it's public. It's public info. I didn't even know that.
I love that the people in the media keep
Yeah.
telling the actual attorneys what they can and what they can't do because
Yeah.
Judge Gold said so. Like, it's like, that's the frustrating part. It's like, they're the attorneys. Like,
Yes.
let them deal with it. You don't need to just shut up, pipe down, MSM.
Yeah. I don't know who it was, but yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting. My daughter called me. I shouldn't say that. She called me this morning. She's like, Mom, now it's a little different environment. She goes, she says, I think I'm surrounded by those things you call that live under the bridge.
Trolls.
I don't want to make her look bad.
Yeah, they seem to be coming out earlier and earlier. Jensing77 said, I spent 5 hours with Julie's daughter. She is so great, and so are you, Julie. Good people.
Who was that? Who's
Jensen.
I don't even know. Thank you. Oh, people are really, the people that are just normal and take you for who you are at face value, that just get to know you. They're really kind. They're kind people. They really are. So yeah. Goodness gracious. Okay, I want to just talk about my overall view. I mean, a little bit of me wants to go cry because of. I mean, I'm going to be honest. The crime scene photos, seeing what was done to them.
Let's talk about this for a second. So don't, Julie.
I won't cry. Okay.
You start crying, they're all gonna start crying. You know that.
Okay.
No, it's okay. I mean, I get it. So, but I wanted to back you up to Giancola, who was the first one that was on the stand today. And he was the first law enforcement officer that was out there. Do we have any huge insights from Giancola about what he had to say? I'm trying to get you off track of where you were about.
No, and I'm gonna summarize this whole thing, the Giancola thing. No, basically what they wanted to do was establish that, okay, so you got to call Darren Giancola, that's his name, right?
Yeah.
And he's been a sheriff deputy. He was let's see, he left it. He was with the sheriff, I think with Carroll County Sheriff, since 2011. Basically what he wanted to establish is that, that he got this call. He helped people search. He went to the private drive on 625. They were just asking him more questions like, okay, when you went to 625, where did you go? Who called you? He said he got a call that some girls were missing. He went to 625 on the private drive.
Uh-oh. We lost you, Julie. We lost her. See if she reconnects. She'll be back. She'll be back. I'll keep this going. We'll go back over here to watch this while we wait for Julie to come back. We lost you, Julie. She's got the link, though. She'll come back when she can. And then I'm going to check. I'm also going to just check for other updates while we wait for her. She better not be sitting there talking to herself still. She's going to be so pissed. All right, let me just keep checking for other updates, too. I think that might be a podcast. Let me see. Delphi is terrible for signal. Thomas, don't get me started. Don't get me started.
There are many residents of the county that have never been on the trails. Describe the terrain of where the girls were found. What is the most direct route out of the area they were found? How long of a walk from where they entered to where they were found? Lesenby responded, very similar to one of the state's parks. A lot of hills, brush, trees, etc. Directly south of the Morning Heights Cemetery, but on private property. I do not recall the specific distance.
Aww, that's so awesome.
You're going to get into my soul a little bit with a question like that. Yeah, and I'm going to tell you why. I want to tell you why. Because of what my eyes have seen and what the eyes of these fellows behind me have seen that you haven't seen. About 3/4 of a mile from here.
I'm thinking the same thing, Chelsea. Oh. I'm going to find you the pictures that I have of the ravine closer to the time of the crime. Yes, Leslie, apparently you can. That's what I'm being told is, yeah, you can. You can stand in line for the lunch if you want, so that you're one of the first in line for lunch. I don't know how that works. I've not been there, but yeah, that's what I'm being told. You are here. I understand the path that the person doing this took, but I want to show you the pictures closer to the time of the crime.
And I can assure you that how you left them in that woods is not, it's not what they're experiencing today.
That's the ravine, yeah. Oh, they're going so fast. Like, they're just spinning around so fast. It's kind of making me nauseous. Or whoever's filming this, it's like. I've never seen this video of her stuff. Absolutely, Evelyn. I agree with you there. may not agree on theories, but she does. This is True Crime Design's video, yes.
Right for hours just to please you. You don't know how much I need you.
So this is like essentially where J. Kyle Keener says he was up on the bridge and that he was able to he took his camera and was able to photograph the crime scene from the bridge. And remember, on the bridge at around the same time, you have Cheyenne, her friend, you have Daniel, his girlfriend, and potentially another 2 people that are out on this bridge for a total of between 4 and 6.
'Cause you're my home away from home, away from home, away from being.
All right, that's the end of that video. Yes, it does, but it's not necessarily the same. But yes, I can see the point of where she's going with that. The ravine. So walking from the cemetery down the ravine over to the crime scene. But you need to watch, we need to find the one where somebody goes, oh shit, hold on, let me go back to where the hell that map was. Going this way. Because this would be the trail that they would take going this way, and then from here to here. Does that make sense? It's the here to here, and how they would be able to go that way. It's a good video. I mean, she makes really good videos. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So, all right. Ron at least found the bodies on the night of the search. That's kind of what I think too. Straight down from the cemetery. She goes. The person making that video for her, or whether it's her or not, goes from the cemetery. But we were talking about the searchers who would have been coming from this direction and being able to see the bodies over here. Remember? Oh, she's back. She's back.
Huh.
We lost you for a minute.
I had to hightail it out of there. Oh, kids. Oh,
Do you
man.
want to tell us what happened?
No, I better not. I'll tell you. I'll tell you later. I'll tell you later privately.
Okay. Uh-oh.
I'm not gonna be that kind of a person. So.
Oh God. Fucking assholes.
I'm just gonna be
Okay.
nice.
All right.
So
We'll go back to Giancola.
Okay. Is that who it was? Because I thought he said his name was Dan Cole, but then I had deputy was asked to speak with Darren Giancola, whatever his name is. That his name? What's his first name?
Darren.
See, they didn't have him spell his name.
He's the one that he's the canine officer.
So okay, but there's no. Is there a Dan Cole? Because that's what I first wrote. Then I put Darren Giancola, whatever it was.
Darren Giancola. That was your first witness today.
Okay. That was if that was our first witness. Okay, because I wrote initially that, and then I wrote Darren Giancola, whatever. Yeah. So he started off saying, he wasn't on duty, at that time, and he kind of went. You don't need to know his history. He's been a deputy, whatever. Yeah. He said it really.
Just tell us what. Yeah. We know him. He's the canine officer. He was one of the first ones on the scene with Yoder. So yeah, if you want to just keep going through whatever he had to actually say about his investigation or the time he was there.
Okay, so he said he was contacted by a deputy that there was 2 girls missing. He said he got information about Libby and Abby. At one point, he was at the sheriff's station helping with electronics. And he didn't really say what those were. Later, he was asked what electronics, and it was like a tablet, he thought. And he said they were locked up, I guess, of one of the girls, and they were locked up, and they kept going off like messages and that sort of thing. So they were able to, since they I don't know if they could get access to the phone or whatever, or the
it was
tablet.
Libby's iPad that Libby and Abby both used.
Okay. Yes. So yeah. He was able to obtain numbers off of that iPad, and then able to, like, they started looking into those numbers, and they found out these were just people that were messaging her, trying to find out where they were. So he decided he went out on 625 to the private drive under the Monon High Bridge. He teamed up with some, I don't know. He didn't say. He said he teamed up the south side of the bridge, searching that area and the line of the creek and the driveway, pushing north It asked what he used to search with. He said a flashlight. How far could you see in front of you? Yeah, not very far. He went to the private drive and down to the creek. How far did you go? He said to the north side between the creek and the bridge. He said that he said something stuck out. The drive goes around the bridge. Oh, that's what he said. Something kind of stuck out to him where he was looking because he had walked down there by the creek, and he said he climbed up the area of the concrete. So if you know where the driveway is, there's those concrete pilings. Sounds like he went up that area where those concrete pilings were, and he said he saw a disturbance of the land or whatever. But later, when they showed us just before court ended, that disturbance to me looked like what I call, like I said to Andrea, I said, well, I call that area down the hill because I've always it is a disturbance in the ground. I guess that's what you'd say. It's not actual
Right
from,
off to the if you're walking off the bridge and going to the left, like the
you're
actual
doing
what people
immediate
consider
hook.
the down.
Yeah, immediate
Right.
turn. Because at one point in time, they did show a picture of the disturbance. So if you're on the bridge and you're coming off the bridge, and instead of going down the hill there, you walk a little bit further, and there was a little patch of area where there was a disturbance of the land. I think what Andy tried to indicate that maybe that could have been animals. Animals could have made that. He brought that up later. So he searched for a little while. He had a flashlight. It was dark. He couldn't see very far in front of him. He looked at that disturbance on the land. He said it was downward. It was above the bridge, but it was downward. Then they gave us exhibit 9 through 13, and they presented that. And the pictures were the north side of the bridge. You saw that little area of disturbance. They handed those to the jury, and then the jury started looking over those photos. It wasn't anything, exciting. And then they hold up the first pick and they point to the jury. Where were you standing? So he said, I was at this jagged concrete. I see this disturbance in the photo. He held
This
up
is
the
on the
photo.
13th, though, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the 13th. But it sounds like it's night because he talked about having the flashlight.
Yeah, he said that he went out there after midnight, apparently.
Yeah, he was. State Exhibit 11, they point out the disturbance to the jury. There's a gravel portion. It's, that little gravel portion just says, they ask what that is right at the end of the bridge, where you come off the bridge and the property goes to Kay Weber's. State Exhibit 12, it's the distant south portion of the bridge. Toward the left upper portion, it just pointed to the end of the Monon High Bridge at the end. Most of these photos looked they looked, it was redundant almost, I thought. He said, Giancola, after disturbance was noted, what did you do? He said, a member from the I contacted a member from the fire department. I guess it was with him, and let him know about it. They said, what time did the search end? 2 a.m. He went home. So he went home after that until 7 a.m. And then he went the next day. He reported back at 7:30. He said that wasn't his normal duty day, but he still went back. He said he went to the sheriff office first and got kind of a map of the land. And he wanted to get permission from the landowners to search so that they weren't trespassing. And by the way, I want you guys just to keep something in mind. I mean, something that I make a note of. Friday and today, when officers said that they drove on 625 to that private drive, they were able to drive freely onto the private drive. Just
The
kind of
gate's open.
Yeah,
The
keep
gate
that as a
the gate is open for anybody just to be able to freely come and go, which I
Just
think is a big deal for Teresa Liebert, because Teresa Liebert, it would most, in my opinion, testify that gate was closed that morning.
she will maybe that morning. What about
I don't know if they're going to have her testify, but I'm going to stay away from the speculation. Let's keep going back to what's at trial.
Okay. So he went home. He came back at around, I think it was around 7:30. He said. Then he was sent to 575 West and 300 North because he said he had there was somebody that had numerous trail cams. So he was on his way to go get those trail cameras that were very, very close there, that would have caught somebody, or potentially. And so he got that call. He was on his way to pick those up, and on his way there, he got a call from Tony Liggett, and he called him while he was on his way. He said, we need you to come. I believe I don't know where the trail cams were, actually. They needed him to come to the cemetery because I think they had found the girls. So he met him at the cemetery. So he abandoned that, direction where he was supposed to go get those trail cams. And later we find out he never did go retrieve them, and nobody did retrieve them.
Uh-oh. Right when she's getting to the trail cam stuff. Julie, get your ass back in here. Worst investigation ever. Shit, we lost her again. Fucking Delphi. Hey, Silver City. So who testified today? We had Deputy Giancola, who was the first law enforcement officer on the scene after the girls were found. We had 2 CSI testify. One was, shit, why can't I remember their names? One was Paige, and the other one was something that starts with like a D. And apparently that's who they left off on at the end of the day. Yeah, Julie, help me. I'll add her back. Let me see if that works. There you are.
I have my phone on Do Not Disturb. I apologize, but people keep calling me. So how do I?
It's fine. Don't worry about it. So I mean, I don't know. It's Datzman. Thank you, Carbon Datzman. I knew it was like, I just said his name like 50 times. Okay, so you were talking about the trail cams, and we missed what you said. So he was talking about.
He was supposed to go. So he got a call that there were trail cameras, a lot of trail cams, that somebody thought that might have captured something. And so he was sent to 575 West and 300 North. I've known that address before. And so that's where he was on his way to get the trail cams. Later we find out that nobody ever did go to get those trail cams, look at them, check them out, ever. They were just kind of.
Where's 575 and 300? Is that the one that's right here?
Let's see if I can see.
Which one's 575?
I think it's on like maybe the back. There might be the back side. I don't know. I think 575 is that Ron Logan's?
I was wondering if it was over here. That's what I was thinking. I'll look it up on the map. You keep going.
I put RL by there just like because it made me think Ron Logan's, because that right there, if you turn left, that's 575. So there's 575, 300. I don't know if it was Ron Logan's or it was one of those.
Yeah, it is over here. This is 575.
It was one of those people over there. So 575 and 300, there was trail cams.
Wait, so no, as far as Giancola knows, nobody went back and got the trail cams? She's gonna start getting mad at people trying to call her. .575 and 300 North is this intersection over here. Hey, Percocet. Which I don't know why you wouldn't. I mean, that's tough because trail cams are different than like the Hoosier Harvest Store cam, which is just running consistently. But a trail cam over here could or could not have captured something. But why don't, once again, why don't you just go get it and find out? Maybe they did. Maybe somebody else goes back later and he doesn't know that. All right, I'll drop her again and bring her back up. Let's see if that works again. She's here. She's typing in the private chat, so she's here, but Yeah, Jill, you're just not connected. Let me see. Let's do this. Try to reconnect it, the whole thing. Hey, holy shnikes. Hi, hybrid. The police on day one said they got that photo from the trail cam. I think the news assumed it was from the trail cam before they put out the video 2 days later. Okay, here we go.
My apologies.
It's
Okay,
okay.
I'll just continue on. Okay, so I want you to take your scroll over to where the cemetery is and where kind of like that little crime. Yeah. And if you can hone in there. So basically, he says that he was told to meet over at the cemetery. So once he got there, he said he walked from so he parked in the very back, towards, yeah. And then he walked. So if you're looking at, as I'm looking at the screen to the right side, he walked down that side of these, yeah. So he walked down, yeah, yes, that side. Just keep going down to the right to the creek. He said they asked, did you see the girls? This is, by the way, this is the prosecution asking the questions. I think this was Latrell was doing the question. Well, wait, Nick was doing this one. Latrell and McClellan alternated. So he said, did you see the girls? He said, no. Down near the water's edge, did you encounter others? He said there was 4 on the north side and then 4 on the south side of the creek. When you got there, what did you see? He said that he could see the water. He got down by the water. He said near the water there was a multicolored shirt and shoe in the water, and that was exhibit 14 through 17. And so they gave that to the witness to look at. He said, do these, basically they say this every time. Do these photos accurately depict what you saw?
Yeah, they have to do that to get them in evidence. Yes.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell us that part, but that's what they do for
Okay.
any
He
piece
says,
of evidence. You'll always have that just for the disclaimer before it can actually be admitted.
Okay. So he said he didn't take the photo, but basically it was that tie-dye shirt of Libby's. It was kind of like hung up on some brush in the creek, and a shoe. He asked where he was standing, and he kind of showed him at the topography where he was standing. It was not that far. He said from his vantage point where he was standing, he was to the left of the picture of the clothes, which doesn't mean anything to you guys, but as you're looking, if you're looking down in the creek and you're looking at clothes, he was standing toward the left side of looking at those clothes. I don't think that really matters. Basically, there was a multicolored tie shirt, and there was some brush, and then there was a black Nike shoe with that white swish on it. Said after he observed the clothes in the creek, what next? He goes, I got with some searchers. I saw the searchers on the right side of the creek. They said that the bodies were behind and to the northeast of me. And he said, did you see any bodies on the way to the creek? No. And you turned around and looked and saw them? Yes. Can you see the bodies? Yes. Something, he said he looked, he said something white or in color. He said I couldn't tell what it is, but he could see something white and some color. He said, did a deputy go? I think deputy go with you. I don't know. I can't even read that writing. He just said both girls were dressed. Both girls. He saw both girls. One was dressed. One was nude. He said, did you recognize these girls? He said, yes. How did you recognize them from the photos that had been given? And then he said, he asked about the injuries that he could see, out there. He said there were injuries, laceration to the throat. Both had a substantial amount of blood around. Both of them had the lacerations to their throat, but they were different.
They were different.
Well, I mean the different the types of lacerations. It was different.
He
Like
says they were different.
no, I'm telling you because he said both had lacerations to the throat, but I'm telling you they didn't look identical, the lacerations.
Okay.
He said, how long? Okay, so he had been there like about 10 minutes, and he said, tell us how far you walked. How far away did you walk? And he said it was about 30 to 40 yards. During your walk, as you went down, did you notice, did you notice anything? Did you notice bodies? No. After discovering the bodies, He said, I took down names of people that were around there, and he contacted Tony Liggett. They wanted to make sure that he didn't leave. He said, yeah, I stood there near the crime scene. They asked if anyone accessed the crime scene. He said, no. There's just the trooper ISP that showed up was the first one to arrive. And then they started a scene log. I didn't realize. So this is scene log, must be digital, whatever. Then they started putting crime scene tape around. And they said, do you agree that anyone, did anyone enter the crime scene after that? No. After you saw that, what did you do? I talked to Liggett and made sure that others stayed away. And then they used they said lane access to, they blocked off, or they must have blocked off. He said the lane access to the area. Oh, we made sure that was clear because he said at one point, Shane Haggard he talked with, they wanted to make sure those areas on the other side of the creek were not accessed over there because Kay Weber's driveway could potentially lead you, he said, to the edge of the creek, and then you could cross it. So they were, blocking that area off to make sure that wasn't accessed. And then the other thing they wanted to make sure of is that, what did you carry a gun? He said he was carrying a Glock 17. It's a 9mm. He said, is that a standard issue? He said, well, we all have 9mm. He thinks it was about a year before they were issued these Glock, 9mm guns, about a year before this happened. So then Andy got up and cross. Go ahead.
Did Nick McClelland ask him about his gun, or was that on cross?
No, this is Nick asking about it.
Okay.
Yeah, no. The prosecution asked everybody about guns. Did you have one? What kind did you have? So.
Okay, he's trying. I see the setup there. Perfect.
Yeah, you can see it. Okay. You can see it. They're trying to say, hey, yeah. Oh, there was like this underlying, like, sounds nice. Try some of the stuff, but oh well. Can we go back? Okay, so Andy cross-examined. He goes, can we go back to he said to 9. I think must have been the photo. He said, would you agree that these photos at the end of the bridge do a terrific job detailing how steep it is from the bridge? Because he goes, I can tell, like, you can tell how steep it is. And he said, would you agree that it's steep and hard to get down, or before, otherwise you would be sliding or falling? He said, yes, because that was an area they showed in the pictures, was that little, you go off the end of the bridge, you go a little bit further before after you pass down the hill area. And there was an area that when I was there 3 weeks after, it looked like, the crazy thing is, it looked like maybe someone sat down and started to slide on their behinds, but there was not. But the problem with that was there was no disturbance all the way down. It was just initial. So that's why I was like, they didn't go down that way. They'd go down the hill, because you just say down the hill and they're going to roll down, and how are you going to get down then? If you're trying to control girls, that's like chaos. That's like, it's like pushing somebody off a cliff, and then you're jumping off the cliff, and you guys are all swimming together, but you're still trying to control them with a gun. That don't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't. So the down the hill was, I think down the hill is by the bridge. I know these are our side notes. So he said, so he just wanted to say, you would slide or fall. Yes. So Andy said, if I can get to the south end of the bridge where these photos were taken, and he was pointing the south end, he said those slide marks, oh gosh, slide marks too. I can't, on the other, to the smart, where the slide marks were. Okay. Where the slide marks are to this other area, that when you first walk on the bridge, that's their area is steep, but the other area is even, right? And he says, yeah. He goes, well, I can't recall. Andy was asking him about, what about the other side? Is it a little more even? And I think what he was referring to was that land that comes off of the bridge, not necessarily down the hill. He said, so based upon the area, you weren't surprised to see slide marks. And he goes, well, I was surprised. That's why, I, went up to that area and I looked, and it was, that area underneath had dirt. And he agreed that, yes, it had dirt. So the search was called off at what time? 2. And he said, well, it was a little after 2. Sorry, I'm just reading my notes. The area
Yeah, just
by
keep
the
reading them. Keep going.
okay.
Yeah, you're good. If I have a question, I'll stop you. Yeah, just
Okay.
keep going.
Okay, so he said the area by the cemetery was that the area, that area to get to the girls, is that flat? Once you get to the girls, is that relatively flat? He said yes. I found that interesting because he said flat, but later on, the last guy, I think it was like the last guy, he said, or maybe the next to the last guy was saying, well, it's not really flat. And I thought that you get what I'm saying, but he was trying to say it wasn't where the girls were found. We all know it was. He said that there were, when you encountered people at the crime scene area, did you know where they came from? He said, well, there were people on the south side of the creek that were standing there. And he said, well, is it your understanding that other people on the other side saw this or had been, I think, walking around there? Because he said you testified that both girls had some blood on them, that you could see some blood. He said you testified that the girls had blood on them. He said, was it blood on them or around them? And he said, well, Libby had blood around her and Abby had a little on her, but it was more around. Because he was trying to get at where's all the blood. It was more
Right.
like it was around them. He goes, I don't recall seeing any on Abby's body at the time. Yeah, he said, I don't recall seeing any on Abby's body because she had clothes on. From where he was looking, he couldn't see, I guess, her neck.
Okay.
Okay. Could you tell any wet marks that were noticeable from any part of the body, like down, like that were separated, like from the upper body to the lower body? He said, Abby appeared to be wet. He said, what part? He goes, I want to say kind of the pants. And later we learned that the pants actually had some drying marks. So you could see where they had been damp closer down to the lower half of the leg. And then as it got up to the thigh, they looked like they were drying. And the last guy that testified when they showed the clothes, they were wet. The sweatshirt was wet.
Okay, so
So
two parts. Hold on, 2 questions there. So he says that he didn't see blood on Libby. He saw blood around Libby.
yeah, around Libby. Yeah, and like
Does he say how close he gets to
notice
the bodies?
noticeable. Yeah, noticeable. Because we saw the pictures. Time to
Right.
talk about this. We saw the pictures. It was on her fingers, and then just
It's on her face. It's on her neck.
some.
It's on her.
He said he was looking for the majority of the blood because he said you testified that both girls had substantial. That's the key. Substantial blood on them, and it
Okay.
was more. So they had some blood, but it wasn't substantial. It was around them. That's the clarification.
Okay.
Okay.
So I got you.
Okay. And it said Abby appeared. Okay, let's see.
Abby appeared wet, but we learned
wet.
more about that from a different witness. So we'll
Yeah,
go
yeah.
on. Keep going with Giancola then.
He said when you went from the cemetery to talk to someone, but they were not looking for, this is what Andy's saying. He's like, okay, keep in mind, you testified that when you went to the cemetery down to the water, there's a reason why you didn't see the bodies. And he said, yeah, the reason he didn't see the bodies is because he was called to meet I think meet Liggett or somebody down there. So he was
called to meet Shane Haygood and the firefighter that was with Jake Johns to go over the clothing first.
Yeah,
and then when he gets there, he learns that the bodies have been found and he says they're behind him. So he's standing over here looking at the clothing and he learns that the girls' bodies are behind him.
Yes, but the reason that he didn't, because they were trying to make a point of, hey, this is also adding to the reason that they weren't found is because, hey, look, this guy's there and can't find him. But the thing that Andy pointed out was when you went down there, you weren't looking for bodies. You were looking to meet someone because they found something in the creek or whatever, right? He said, well, I was looking, but he wasn't specifically trying to go search for the bodies. He was going down there to meet someone, just to say, if you're walking and you're actively looking, then maybe you should have, you might have seen them. And I think the prosecution was trying to make a point that even if you're actively looking for them, that nobody could see them. That's kind of what he was alluding to, that, hey, this is during the day and this guy couldn't even find him. So how do you expect to find him at night? He didn't say that, but I knew that that's what they were getting at.
Okay.
So, but the point that Andy made was, when you went down there, you were called down there to meet
He was
up.
walking down to meet, because Shane Haygood and Jake Johns are on this side of the creek.
Yeah.
So he's walking down in order to come and meet them, who he sees across the creek. He's
Right.
not paying attention to what's happening over here because nobody's found the girls yet. So his intention is to walk. I see what Baldwin's doing there, and that's a good point.
Yeah.
Quick side question.
Uh-huh.
Have they played the Bridge Guy video yet?
No.
Okay.
Not at
All right.
all. Not
Keep
at all.
going though. Keep going.
Okay. So then, and then to the jury, he said, you stated the electronics. That's when he just clarified what was it. It was an iPad. There was a lock on it. We could see the numbers coming in. Where were you? I was at the sheriff. Do you know who it belonged to? He goes, no, I don't recall. So then the state next calls Jason Paige, and Luttrell is doing this. So you guys know who Jason Paige is?
Yeah. So he's the CSI. Yeah.
Okay, CSI. Okay, so
He's
we'll
the
go with
first CSI on the scene who does the crime scene photos.
Yeah, that's his primary responsibility to a crime scene. He goes to the item, collects the items, marks them, all that stuff. What was your position? At the time, he was a crime scene. He does he's a photographer. So that's his main special. Like, he's photographer, and he has a degree, in photography. It says that they asked about the training, what kind of training you have in crime scene, latent prints, all that stuff, collecting evidence. He's had hundreds of hours of crime scene training. How long at the job? 20 plus years. It says, I've heard crime scene as a lab out in the field. Is it out in the field? Are you part of, out in the field doing that kind of thing? He said yes. He said he's worked with several pathologists, Jeremy Wolf, some Lafayette pathologist, Wagner. So they're kind of indicating, like, since you're out there at the crime scene, basically taking photography evidence, and who do you work with? You've worked with these people before. How many crime scenes have you processed? He says 950 to 1,000. But does it include, they were asking, I think it include, it's getting dark in here. Sorry.
You're fine.
I can't read that. I don't know. Oh, I like homicides, homicides. I think he said, yeah, he's done. I thought he said dozens. So I might be a little wrong on that one. Andrea will have her note on that one. He said, have you ever testified regarding sharp objects, that sort of thing? Yes, I've testified. Have you ever testified about a bullet before? Yes. Did you process Did you process the scene? Yes, I did. And then they named who it was by ISP, and I couldn't hear it, and I'm not sure Andrea might have gotten it. He asked if he was assigned to the same post as the Lafayette detective. I can't even read that. Is it unusual to work with another crime scene investigator? No, it's not. We collaborate with other investigators many times. I think most counties have one, and then they collaborate to get together if they're needed. What time did they contact you? He says it was in the afternoon. I arrived at 1:30. Where did you go? I was asked to pull up at the cemetery. And he said, I went down this steep grade at the cemetery of a hill. What did you do when you arrived? I walked from the cemetery to the crime scene, and I stayed there. The other officer, there was another officer there. I had crime scene log already, and asked Tony Dask. Is there a Tony Dask or something? There was a name that I didn't know. Said, what was the purpose of the meeting? I think maybe had a meeting. What they did was they three guys met to try to figure out how they were going to strategically, this guy that's testifying, strategically work the crime scene area, how they were going to do it. He said it was the size of a football field, the crime scene area. Okay, that's kind of like
football or softball.
He's football.
Okay.
Two people testified football field, because what he said is like the crime scene area, not him but another guy said later, clarified, like the crime scene area was like around 30 maybe 20 30 feet, but then they take an area another 15 feet around that because they always try to make the perimeter bigger than what it actually is. He said, so so there was a crime scene search area. Yes. Did they have suits to search the creek? They did. Oh, they were asking about the divers or whatever. So he did say that he did see the divers there. Did you have a map topography sorry, drawn? And he said, yeah, there was. He had some of the trees, satellites, the topical graph, and then he placed it on top. So basically what he did is he took the area where he was, and then he took the crime scene, and I guess they somehow, you probably know more than I do, assess the topography of the area that they're looking at. It says, where was ground zero? So you'll hear that term. Ground zero is the main perimeter of the crime scene, and doesn't include, I think, that little perimeter on the outside where they put the tape around. We did hear a lot about this is where the yellow rope comes from. Okay. So 18, 19, and 20, they are diagrams that he did. He did diagrams. It's just the maps that he did.
So the whole yellow rope that everybody's talked about for years as being part of the evidence that was found at the crime scene, we find out now that it has nothing to do with that. It actually had to do with the CSI.
Yep. It's all from the crime scene investigation. What he said he did is this is how they map it out. So they put a yellow rope around the tree, and they anchor it maybe to another, like some other trees down at the base, and they walk this area, and so after they've walked that, they know where it's clean. So this helps keep them on track, and every time they walk the area and they've searched it, then they move the yellow rope then to the next section that they're going at, and they showed pictures. There's one hanging up high from the tree. So if you just walked up, you'd be like, is somebody getting hung up here? It looked like that, but that explains this yellow rope. So the mystery of the yellow rope, I believe, has been solved.
Good. Finally. Okay.
Yes, he talked about that a lot. So he said, he pointed to the cemetery on the diagram, the Monon High Bridge, the Deer Creek, and where downstream was. He just wanted to know. He's just asking basic questions. Describe what the topography of the crime scene, like the cemetery to the crime scene tape. And we all know that it's a little steep when you come down. It's a little more flat up there, down there at the bottom. Then actually, it was mainly just describing, tell this area between the creek and the Monon High Bridge. And he had a ton of pictures just with the area, different angles, looking all around. And then he talked about that yellow rope, and he uses it to document where they've been, so the area's clear and they know where they've searched. It's like a guideline,
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a guideline. So now we know. He said the yellow rope serves as landmarks that we've investigated, and it's like, he said, for him it's like this a path that he uses to walk. So he uses it as a landmark, and he wrapped it around the tree, and then he showed some pictures of the tree with the yellow rope. Okay, we know there were other areas to search. As the entrance, you left the crime scene area at what time? 10:20 is when he left it. Now, they did show his diagram. I don't know if you could. This is not a very good. Let's see if I'm sitting at a gas station. I don't know if you won't even be able to see this.
Probably not.
But, you won't be able to, will you? Okay. Well,
A little
let me
bit.
just, okay.
I can put you on full screen if you want. Hold on, do it again real quick, and I'll
Okay,
put
let's
you on
just see
full
if it'll
screen.
do it. I know there's, and so I can, there's, oh, my phone's shadowing it, isn't it? Basically, you guys can't even see it, can you? Do you see anything? Let me just tell you, I gotta look at it when I'm telling you, but basically what it is they showed where, so he did it. This is just like a sketch. It's like the sketch, when everybody saw those crime scene photos and people did cartoon sketches. Well, it was kind of like that, but it was in black and white. So, right here's Libby. Here's the big tree. Libby was very close to that big tree. That was the thing that was surprising. The only thing that separated her arm by that tree, her arm was up like that, was that big branch that came, over her arm.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like there was much more room between that limb and the base of the tree. I was surprised at how close she was. But okay, so there's Libby here. There's Abby, very close to her. There is the area in front is an area of blood, and it was. If I was going to try to describe it, and I have no idea about the scale, I would say it's about 3 feet by like 3 feet by 2 feet, like the area that looked like when we saw the actual photos of blood, like on the, and it was fairly saturated on the leaves, but it's hard to tell. He indicated later that there was some underneath there. Now, to the right of Abby is a tree, and there behind that tree was a little bit of blood. It's hard to tell. He doesn't quantify how much little blood is there because it's his sketch. But that tree to the right back of her was cut from the top. Like, so he said, when you're
Okay.
looking at this, you're looking at it cut from the top down. So that must have been like a small one that they used to put some of the branches on. And then there's a little area that's in front of Libby, would be kind of toward her left foot, toward her feet, that was kind of a indention. And he said that that's where some leaves were missing or disturbed, right there in front there. And that little area where there was blood, it looked like he had little tiny circles or bigger, just where some of the leaves had blood on them. Let me see if there's anything else that's significant here. Nope, I don't think on that one. No, let's see. I did draw a lot of pictures here. So exhibit 21 through 63. Okay. He took a ton of photos, so that was basically his job. His job is photographer of the crime scene. That's what this guy did. Because he wasn't supposed to, I guess, touch anything. He said, so they took photos to track their location. So typically, the way he explained it is, when they take photos, they take them at all angles, section by section by section, and they start, they do a general area so that you could see where you're looking, what else is around you, and then they hone in and they do it in a counterclockwise. So just imagine if you were, let's say there's a tree and you're taking pictures and you're starting out off far away, all the way around, and you're getting closer and closer and closer.
Okay.
And then, okay.
Narrowing down the crime scene to the smaller, the core of the crime scene.
Yeah, and
Got
he's
you.
doing, and he does it in a counterclockwise fashion. And then he did take some pictures way up high. He did show a lot of like pictures of the yellow rope. You see, we can't, I mean, the pictures are worth 1,000 words. They really are. Some of them you don't want 1,000 words. And they showed the crime scene tape. I don't know if it's important to tell each exhibit. It's basically, and generally speaking, we ended up seeing photos that we didn't really want to see, and even toward the end was even more so. Let me just make sure there's nothing that they asked about.
Okay, so let me ask you about the photos as they show them, because we were one of the mainstream media people that was in the courtroom said that there was a tech issue, and that it just that they turned on, like they turned on the photos, and there was a zoomed in photo of Libby like right off the bat without any warning to anybody. Can you clarify that for us?
Yeah, it was briefly, but he was, yeah, it was, but they were already showing the pictures of the girls just from a distance, and it was just a quick blip, and then but they ended up showing. I mean, that was part of it. I mean, they ended up showing all of those, so they were in the process of getting there. I mean, we kind of, some of us went, like that, but it wasn't that much of a surprise. It wasn't like, well, we're gonna show the CPS building, and all of a sudden that showed up. It was right along with what we were looking at
Okay.
and talking about. So
So it was they knew that the crime scene photos were coming up, but that one wasn't. Just that close up was because like one of the news people like put out that it was like there was like an audible gasp in the courtroom.
Yeah, a couple of people just went, oh, because you almost went like you knew they made a mistake by going right there right away. But yeah, I kind of heard a little bit of that, but I didn't. Here's the thing: is it's touchscreen, so they gave whoever the witness up there they were touching, so they were just supposed to point to the screen, but it's a long stick, and so they would point on the screen, and if they point on the screen, then it would reset, flip back to another picture. So that was
Okay.
yeah.
Okay,
So like
that makes sense.
it was a
That
very
makes sense.
yeah, very 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 sensitive.
Did it show any of the drone footage that was taken or the camera footage that was taken? I think that's actually the next CSI who took the camera footage of the crime scene from the helicopter. Do they show you guys that?
No, they didn't show us that, but he just told us that he got in the helicopter. Back, so with all these multiple pictures, there was a red stain that was on the ground. This was exhibit, I think number 36. And this is a picture taken right from above. There was one picture that looked like there was blood on the tree by Libby, but they clarified that to say there was no blood there. That was just bark, and it just appeared that way. It really wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't blood.
Okay, so
Okay.
with the girls, then do they? Okay, and I hate to ask this question, but I need to know.
Mhm.
Do they show, because the ones that were leaked, we don't see the wound of Abby. Are you able to see like the width of it, or is it because they keep going back and forth whether she was punctured or whether there was a slash?
It was a slash. It was a slash. It was a okay. So Libby's wounds. I mean, parental discretion and sensitive viewer discretion is advised. Please don't shoot the messenger, because I'm just describing what I saw today. I would say Libby had a pretty gaping wound. Like I was measuring about 3 inches deep, like it was gaping open, and it was across. And the same with Abby over here on the side. It was an opening. It looked like it had been lacerated and then pretty deeply to open it that wide. Yeah. And that was
Okay.
her left carotid artery. And now I'm going to just throw this in. Of special note, okay, they did show the tree too, the F tree, and they
Yes.
showed areas. So there's 3 sections of blood that was on there. He said he observed blood stain in these areas. One was up top. There was a larger one in the middle, and then there was some at the bottom. And it did look like an F. And they ended up using, there's some kind of a chemical, not the luminol. It's the stuff that makes it turn purple. He gave the name of it, but I can't tell you that right now. And they took some pictures of like down by the feet. If you're down at the feet, almost on the ground and looking that way. He said the largest stain was exhibit number 41 is the largest area of stain on the leaves. And that was the stain that was in front of them. If I had to guesstimate, how far in front of their feet that stain.
Oh, she cut out again. Probably Blue Star or what is the black shit? Why can't I can't think of what it's called now. Well, we'll wait for her to get back, Richard, because I want to ask her some more about that. But the leaked crime scene photos, although we talked about this at the beginning of the live, are somewhat like whitewashed and the color is changed a bit. She says, "I'm here." Hold on, I'll drop you again and then I'll add you back. It's like it just I don't know what happened. Here, do that one. Yeah, what a glass, you'd think so. But I was saying that the crime scene photos are more like whitewashed, but you can tell on Libby's photo that I mean her neck is very cut. Okay, so we were just talking about the blood on the girls. Could you see blood on? Obviously, we were at the beginning before you hopped on, Julie. We were talking about that the crime scene photos that were leaked are very like whitewashed and like the color isn't what was being reported in the courtroom. So could you like in the photos they have like blood on Abby's face, blood on? Please don't cry. I'm trying not to make you cry. I'm so sorry.
No. I'm okay. Now there was one point where it got me. Not the beginning, it was more toward the end when they showed her again. And I looked over and I saw Carrie and she was just, she was broke down because they were even the ones on the very last witness, they were even at a different angle. One thing that Libby's neck was, can I just show you how her neck was? I don't want to offend anybody. I mean,
yeah, please do.
Okay, her neck was like as much as I could turn my neck.
This is
like
Libby's?
Yes, as much as I could turn my neck, and then that stick, it was twisted as it couldn't go anymore because of the ground, and it was twisted so much that way, and her eyes were open, which they ended up covering them with the little black dots. Her mouth was open. Now this is something that Andrea and I we were noticing, this blood flow pattern on Libby and Abby, but particularly Libby. And Bob and I and we all talked about it afterwards. The blood flow pattern was this blood came across, and they were large. They were probably, 3/4 to 1/4 of an inch in some places where it was dried blood, and it had an upward flow to it all the way across, dried blood. The only explanation is she had to have been positioned at one point where her head was lower than the rest of her body to get that blood flow pattern. It was
This
flowing.
is Abby's face?
This is on Libby's face. Well, Abby
Libby.
had that. Abby had some of that too, but Libby, there were also blood, dried blood marks that streamed down her right thigh in a horizontal fashion. Like there was no injury that you could see, and her right heel. And this other detective said over and over, her under her right heel was bloody, and they when they turned her over, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I mean, this is just a terrible crime. I just feel so bad for the family and the moms that have to see this stuff. It's horrible. It's terrible. because you
Did
know
they
we've all
did they like let the families know like we're going to be showing these? You can leave the courtroom at this time if you want to. Did anybody get like
no, no, they didn't say that, but it's just like, like your heart has been so attached to these girls. And then when you finally are seeing this and their pictures that nobody's seen, and this is something that nobody should ever see because nobody should ever have that done to them. But anyhow, I'm sorry. When
okay, no, it's okay.
they had turned
We
over
talked
the
about this too. That some people like you're empathic like that. That's part of who you are.
no.
Some or it's going to be hard, especially when you're sitting there with the family. I said that would be the hardest for me is watching the family's reaction to something like that. That's their baby. That's their loved one. That would be harder for me than the photos themselves. But just knowing like that's their baby.
Yeah, Carrie, I really felt for, I felt for her, and her daughter reached over and grabbed her hand. And I think Tara was just trying to look away. She was not looking. I didn't see the rest, what people were doing, but that's a terrible thing.
Did you happen to see the jury reaction to all these photos? Did you take a peek over at them?
Yeah, there was a couple of jurors. The guy that had fallen asleep before, he kind of got, like he looked like he was wiping his eyes. He had his glasses, and then there was I think there was a lady that it kind of teared up, so there was a couple of them that were, and you could see they were just wow. So the main thing that I want you to know about what they showed the pictures of the girls was that there was this blood flow pattern that was dried on them that was in a slight upward wait, like it wasn't like down. It was like
Okay.
upward. See how I'm doing my fingers? It was upward like this. And that's why it went across her lips and her nose. If the photos we've seen, well, now this was a very clear photo. You could clearly see the blood, and they were dried in these large streaks, as like it had come from her throat. But how do you don't get a blood flow? I promise you, it was not blood spatter. These were drip marks that had dried upward. Andrea will tell
Okay.
you too. Like we talked about, there's like even Bob, Dan, Don, Bob. He said, yeah, he noticed that too. And then the same, okay. And then the thigh thing, there was no injury to her thigh.
So
But
meaning that she had to be sitting up, and I think this is what Cicero had testified to in that 3-day hearing, was that the way that the blood had fallen onto her legs, that she had to be at some point in an upright sitting position for her wounds to drop the blood gravity-wise to fall onto her thighs.
now I can see that. That makes sense. Like, but the upward stroke of that blood flow, that was very
I believe
odd.
well, he testified that that's like let me turn my camera on. So he testifies like that's like somebody essentially like moving her and her head falling backwards while she's being moved. So almost like that. And so the blood is flowing this direction as the head is fallen back while being moved over.
Okay. Would that indicate being dragged by the feet? Probably.
More like the more like the probably by the armpit or the arm area, so that like they're kind of picked up and the head falls back while they're being moved.
Potentially. Okay. I mean, maybe, but
this was what Cicero testified. I think it's Cicero. I always screw up the C's that testified to in the 3-day hearing. So
that'd be tricky. I don't know. I'm not so sure. I see what other people think about that were there today.
okay.
I get what you're saying, but you can't. Your head can only drop back so far when you're being dragged.
I'm gonna say something that you get. It's trying to her head isn't connected the same way.
Well, no, I know. I want more details about the wounds, because the wound to her neck, though it was deep, I expected it to be way worse. As far as I thought her neck was going to be like almost severed, because that's what you always heard, right? Dave Erskine said that. it was a pretty good deep wound, but I don't know that one. We're gonna have to look more into that. I want to know like the
You'll
measurements.
probably hear more. You're going to hear more about the wounds and stuff when it comes to like the medical examiner. And I was saying earlier, I think that's probably where they're going, is to get the medical examiner on pretty quick here. Maybe tomorrow,
Okay.
if not Wednesday.
This guy, he took a lot of night photos and that sort of thing. He remained at the scene until 10:30. They asked if he carries any firearms or anything like that. Was that where he said he got the did he say he found a bullet or something? Is that the guy?
No, that's the next one, I think.
Yeah. So he had all these photographs. What he said, he was taking photos though. While he was taking photos, they had the people out there putting, I don't know, they use this this alternative light source, and you have to have these orange goggles as the filter. And so he didn't have these goggles on. So when they're using this alternative light source, and he's had been taking pictures, then he said that's when they saw this like a little bit of a shine object that was, it's just the metal part of the bullet. So they asked him about if he, do you have they asked him if he carried a gun. Hang on. I'm not even to that. There's so much here. God, because he went
Okay,
through
hold on. I have another question for you. Because the leaked photos don't really show the directionality of the girls' bodies, we do know that they're at like an angle of the V, right? Like
yes.
They're like this.
Yeah.
Do we know where the heads, like what direction? Is there any? Did they tell you kind of that, like the head is facing northeast, northwest?
They didn't, but they took photos, and you could see. So I could see the creek. It looked like.
Are their feet towards the creek, or are their heads towards the creek?
Looked like their heads were towards the creek. Let me see. I actually had a drawing. I drew my own little drawing because he took them at so many different angles, and he showed every single picture. He said, "You see the creek over here. You see it over here. You see it over here."
Okay.
And before it was over. Now I will say I know I can determine which tree. So exhibit number 54. Like if somebody was to go, not that I'm advising to go out there, it's private property. You could see where the tree is basically. I could draw a picture of it. It's like it's a double tree. So the base of it's one, and I'd say about 3 feet up, it splits into two trees. As you're looking at it, like as I was looking at it on the screen, the left side of it's a larger round, and the right side is a little bit smaller. But it goes into, like, if you didn't see the base, you'd think there were two trees there side by side. But it comes down to the base, and it's all one. And Libby was, as they were showing it, she was to the left of that tree.
Okay. So from memory, right now you're thinking that heads are towards the creek.
Yeah, I didn't think that at first. It does. There was one. Okay, I'll say that because there was one photo that I'm like, I didn't think her head was there, but I see the creek.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of at
All
an
right,
like.
we'll see if anybody else picked up and if they had any type of what they thought of it too.
Because that's not what I initially thought. I thought their heads were towards the cemetery, and then that's what it looked like to me. But then he showed me one photo, or he showed us one photo, and I'm like, what is that? Why is that looks like the creek? He's saying that's the creek. So I don't know. It was the funny angle. Okay, what else? He said he took the photos. The first platform. They're showing photos of the High Bridge, first platform. Photos just off the Monon High Bridge in the level area. He said, "See, you see the disturbance," and when they pointed out the disturbance was down the hill. I'm like, well, that's down the hill. Now they're calling two areas disturbance, but they're two separate areas. And that disturbance down the hill is just from people having walked there. I believe he did. The last guy did testify that there was a partial print that was not usable. They couldn't use it. Like
where?
Down the hill. He said it was a partial print. And
where did they find the print though?
Like on walking, like on that little disturbance area in the mud or whatever. And he said he said something to his other officer. Hey, that kind of looks like it's the imprint of that that Nike shoe, but it was only a partial one. It wasn't anything that they could use.
Are you talking about a shoe print? Or are you talking about a fingerprint?
A shoe print, yeah, shoe print.
Oh,
Shoe print.
shoe print. I thought you said fingerprint.
Shoe print. But from
Okay.
they thought Libby's shoe, but also they knew that other people. He said he could see where other people had kind of climbed up that area, so they thought that it could have been just from like searchers that had been out there searching. So now the rest of this, just what are this picture? Boring things like what's this angle? And it was all just the creek from this way, that way. I'm standing on a rock taken. It wasn't the crime scene stuff. And then he said, did you notice Abby Williams' clothing? He said the clothes were damp. The clothes seemed damp, but unsure of wear on her clothes. Photo number 63, there was a photo from across the crime scene. They were talking about a group of CSI were gathered again on Sunday the 19th, and he did participate. He said, and they asked how many people total. He said, including himself, he said it was 9, including himself on that one.
On what day?
On the 19th.
They went back to search on the 19th.
Went back to search on the 19th. The cross exam. Wait, is that cross exam, Mr. Paige?
So real quick, did any of the attorneys ask any of the witnesses today about whether they made phone calls, whether they had service, what provider they had? Did that come up at all today?
The only question that was asked, and I feel like I was covered. Was that Mr. Page? I don't know. Who's the guy that took all the pictures?
Paige.
Paige.
Well, they both took pictures, but Paige is the one who goes through the 42 crime scene photos.
Yeah. So he took all those pictures. Yeah, they asked one guy. I thought it was the first one. What's your service provider for the sheriff's department? He said
they asked Giancola that.
Yeah, it was AT&T, but now it was AT&T. He didn't know what it was. It was. Let me see. He actually stated it. It was some odd thing I'd never heard before. I thought, is that something that they do for the state? So it was a different provider, but they just asked. I think they were trying to establish because he was out there. When he went out on the driveway, went all over in that area, like what's who's your provider, to see like if his phone would have pinged.
Was there any juror questions for Giancola?
No.
First witness? No juror questions for Giancola?
No, there was some of the witness. God, I have this. I could be on here all night. I got to drive home.
We don't need to go. Yeah, no, we don't need to go through all of it because I know that. I want to know just if you tell us like what Baldwin's. But Baldwin or Rosie? Maybe I think Rosie did Paige's cross. And I want to know how that went.
Okay.
Erskine hasn't testified, Rochelle. Not yet, anyway.
Okay.
If he is going to testify, he hasn't testified yet.
You said you're aware the girls were last seen February 13th, and then found on the 14th. Yes. Any opinion of the time of death? He said, well, no, my primary job is just assessment of the crime scene. And by the way, they did bring up the fact about this bullet. This is one thing that stood out, and they're going to talk about.
Do they bring this up? Do they bring this up with Paige, or do they bring it up with Datzman?
See, I thought they.
I think they might bring it up with both, but I think that he says I don't.
They brought it up with both because Paige goes, that's not my thing. That's not something I do. Then they brought it up with Datzman again. But what he stated, they were talking about this bullet. He's like, okay, you got a bullet. You took pictures of it. Wouldn't you think that you would, video it, pulling it out of the ground? He's like, he said, no, that's not something typical I would do. Would you not take a picture of you pulling it out of the ground? No. And then Baldwin or Rosie, whoever it was, cross-examined, he said, wouldn't you find that it would be helpful to get a picture of this bullet, at least after it's pulled out of the ground before you take it, because, you know, they focused on the fact that that could be different colors. You know, the bullet part of it, it's in the ground. It could be a different color. Maybe there could be part of it damaged. I mean, and like Andrea and I were saying, I said, what if it's a hollow point? You know, you don't know. You don't know from
You
the
don't know at
top.
that point. You wouldn't know at that point.
You wouldn't know at that point. So there's no indication. Now, with this whole bullet thing, the jury did say, is there anything to, you know, how do we know that, you know, that what was turned in is what is the evidence? Basically, that the evidence was secure. How do we know that what was at the crime scene was actually the evidence that was investigated?
Mm-hmm.
Or that was, you know, the crime scene evidence at the scene.
What proof do you have to show me that this bullet is actually the bullet that's being tested in the lab at all?
Yeah. And so he said there was a process that they go through, and he explained the whole thing of how detailed it was and how they secure it. And then there it goes here, it gets locked up and all that.
This is Baldwin. I mean, this is Rosie on cross with Paige, or this is during Datzman's?
No, well, it was actually both that were talking about the bullet, about I think it was the cross. This was the cross. Okay, let me see. He says, okay, he was saying that they first started off for some reason talking about insects, and you know, like he said, you don't use let's see, etymology, is that right? Let's see. Yeah, with insects, you know,
He
he
wouldn't
said
have anything to do with any of that.
no, he says there's several variables. He was asking if you use that to determine time of death. There's several variables. He said, in fact, do you have an opinion about interpreting the? In fact, you have an opinion about the interpretation of the crime scene. Is that your job as a CSI? He said his is just to take pictures. He said the CS integrity is to pertain to the idea that you maintain the crime scene close to the natural integrity that you have. He said you stated that you already sorry, it's kind of dark in here. Did you know that there were breaches of the since breaches of the SE? What does that say? I think it was.
I know they asked Paige about the if he knows that if there was rape kits performed on the girls.
If there was what? Oh yeah,
Rape kits performed on the girls.
They did. They did. Okay, what they were asking him is though, did you know that there were breaches of the crime scene, that people had been there before,
Right.
and that weren't part of the CSI, that had taken photos, and that there were leaked photos. You know, so he was talking about the leaked photos. Like, okay, you say that this crime scene was secured, but you don't know what happened before you got there, because these people were there. Somebody was there taking photos, and these photos were leaked. And he goes, 2017. He goes, are you familiar with that? The photos of the crime scene that leaked? He wasn't. He didn't know about that. And then he asked about if DNA was one of those things that you would take. He said yes. How do you do it? They use swabs. He says, I took. He said, I don't do the swabs. You know, because I take pictures. Are you aware of any DNA that connects Richard Allen? I'm not aware of any. You know,
not aware of any DNA at the scene that matches Richard Allen. That could come up later, but as of this guy, he's not aware of any.
Yeah, he's not aware of it. They're asking about the alternative light source. You know, like there's something that they use that they can tell, like semen and saliva.
Yep.
He said there was blood under. I think it was. Oh God. He said you can see with blood with the alternative light source, and able to obtain alternative light source. I don't really see any stains that. Oh, gosh, sorry. Okay, then he went on to say, "Are you aware of a rape kit?" He says, "I'm not. I don't think he was aware of the rape kit." He says that's what he said is that's not what I'm involved in. I don't do that kind of, that's not my thing. And then he said earlier, would you acknowledge that there were some unusual circumstances like sticks. Sticks were placed there. Are you? And he goes, well, I mean, are you asking my opinion? And he's like, yeah. He goes, well, I've seen sticks before, not like that. He's like, I mean, it's sticks. He kind of blew it off like they weren't.
No big deal. I've seen sticks at
Yeah,
other
big
crime
deal.
scenes.
Yeah,
Not a
and,
big
and
deal.
basically, the long story short of those sticks is they didn't think they were anything. They said they were crackly or whatever, crumbly. He said crumbly. They were kind of crumbly on top, and there was some blood on the stick, and he's like, well, don't you think that would be something that you would turn into evidence? I mean, it's blood on a stick. And he's
I
like,
thought that they said there wasn't blood on the sticks, which is why they didn't collect them.
well, that's what they said. They looked clean, but there was one that had a little bit of blood on the stick. I guess it was a little bit. He said, so if there was blood on a stick, would you turn that in? And he said, so yeah. He said, but everything, it just looked like they've been placed there. He said, but you could have epithelial cells or whatever. And he's like, yeah. So maybe there wasn't blood on the stick, but Andy gave that example.
Well,
That
I heard that two different witnesses contradicted each other.
maybe that's why, because one said blood on there was a little bit of blood on the stick. Maybe that was the last one, and the other one said he didn't see anything, and they took them off in a that they were removed in a
So one
organized.
testified that there was no blood on the sticks, so they didn't take them. And then but they did come back and get them like at the beginning of March.
Yes.
Okay, and then there was the other witness. So you have Paige, who's the CSI, and then you have what's his name, the one with the D that I keep messing up his name.
Datzman.
Datzman.
Yeah.
Because I know you need to drive home, but so I want to ask you some specific questions about a couple of these witnesses real quick, and I want you to be able to drive home. I know it's dark, and you've been on here now for a long time. Yeah, you need to go home, have some dinner and everything else. So I don't want to keep you any longer, but I just want to, if you can give us clarification on the glitter that was talked about under Datzman's testimony. Do you know what that was about?
He said that was his terminology. He just said it was glittering, because like if you shine a light and you see and the light pings just right on a piece of metal, he used the word glittering. It wasn't glitter. It was just, he said it was glittering. It's because he said when they shined that light, then he saw that. That's what he saw, and that was the bullet.
Not technical glitter is not how you interpreted it. It was more like it was like there was like you. It was like a glitter of light from his alternate light.
Yes, that pinged off of that little bullet that underneath there. That was it.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
and then
did somebody report?
Yeah, they reported that he also noted glitter was found on the leaves on the ground. People are freaking out about this glitter, that there's glitter all over the crime scene.
No, he was meaning glittering. There was glitter, kind of that he used to mean it was shining. That's how I took it.
Okay.
Okay. One thing that really, God, I'm gonna have to go home and go through my notes.
That's fine. That's why I said I want you to be able to go home and have dinner. I mean, you've taken a lot of your time.
I'm not like succinct in this, because I'm
no, but you're just like sitting in the dark in your car, and like it's fine. I want you to be able to go home.
See. One thing that did strike me is the just like, maybe this is routine for them, but they all just was like, no, it's not a big deal that we didn't take a picture of the bullet. So you don't think it would help to take a picture of the bullet out of the ground, because literally all you can see is the very top of it. That's it. And then there's no other photos any other time except in the lab. Well,
so, and they said it's nose down and it's actually like in the ground.
Yeah, it's in the ground. You only see the top of it.
The back side or the front side, or that like the round side or the flat side?
The flat side. So the bullet's in the ground, and the bullets, that's the important part, because bullets are different colors, different type, that kind of thing. And so you have no idea. Or even if the integrity, like, what if there's, there's a flaw in it or whatever, just to be able to see that, to compare that this is the same bullet that they checked. So that
I guess,
got,
did they say how far into the ground it was?
no, they didn't say, but you could see it was pretty much all the way. I mean, even when they moved the leaves, there was just enough that you could see the top part of it, and maybe like half of my pinky fingernail, like not very big.
And that's the only photo they have of the bullet at the crime scene?
Yes.
That's it. The only one.
Here's what got me. Here's what I kind of caught this moment, and I did see Andy after he walked out, and I talked with him for a minute, and I just said, "Hey, Andrea and I were talking, and what we noticed was, they said that they don't normally, like, almost like, are you kidding? Why would we take a picture? We just get it out, and then we put it in a pill box. That's what they put it in. It was a pill box, and then they take it to the lab, and they have it locked up. Well, they said we don't take stuff out, once we get it, and we don't like handle it, and all that, even when they have the gloves on. So then at the very end, they're going through the items that they found in the creek, and that they dug out of the creek, and each of them, and there's, somebody with gloved hands, they're holding them up, taking pictures, holding it up. Once you pull it out of the creek, we're taking pictures. And I said,
They didn't do that with the unspent round.
Yeah. Because he said normally, he goes, oh, we just bag it up and send it to no, but they did that to all the pieces of clothing. Now the pieces of clothing.
So there's a witness that comes on after. I thought Datzman was still on the stand, but apparently he's not. So Datzman is done, and then
Datzman was last.
I thought they reported that there's another guy named Olehi.
Yeah.
That he was the one on the stand at the end of the day.
Oh, was that? God, I gotta get him right here. Maybe that is that guy.
He's the one who talks about the clothing on the girls, and he talks about it keeps saying that Libby's shirt was on Abby, and I wanted to ask you about this because
the Delphi swimming shirt was
sweatshirt. Libby's shirt isn't on her. Like Libby's sweatshirt was on her, not Libby's shirt. Libby's shirt is found in the creek, inside out. Is that what you heard also? I wanted to get clarification.
No, I saw her shirt's inside out, and her pants were inside out. Oh, actually, those pants I don't believe to be the pants that were in the creek. The jeans, those have to be, because they're size 26 waist.
Those are Abby's jeans.
Yeah.
And the pants in the creek were a size 26?
Yeah, it's 26 waist.
Okay.
And the shirt, they held up a shirt, like it almost reminded me of like an undershirt, like, has like the spaghetti straps, and almost like a spaghetti strap tank top or whatever, but it was kind of lightweight, and it was like I actually said where it was from, but it was black. So that top looked like somebody had that on. Had you ever heard of that black kind of spaghetti strap top?
No, but I do. They said that Abby had on 2 bras, throughout this whole Frank stuff. So I wanted to know if they clarified that in court today.
If she had on 2 bras, the only thing they showed when they lifted up her shirt, and she had her pink shirt on. She had the Delphi swimming shirt, and on the Delphi swimming shirts had German on it. Okay. And then she had her pink top on, and they lifted up the top because they were looking to see if there was any injuries on the trunk or any of there. And there wasn't. And then she had what he called was a sports bra, because he said he has got daughters. It looked like a sports bra. It did, like, workout top, whatever, sports bra. And that's what she had on. And then I wanted to tell you something. So she had jeans on. They were definitely, you could tell they were Libby's jeans in these pictures, and they were kind of zipped down. And in the creek, the the blue jeans. Imagine if somebody took their hands and pulled your jeans off and would grabbed your underwear with them and pulled them inside out and pulled them off. In the creek, the underwear were still hooked onto the jeans inside out. And they
How
were
does that
pink.
make sense?
They were pink underwear.
But the jeans are Abby's.
I know. And there was pink underwear on these jeans.
But they said that Abby was wearing her own underwear.
I didn't see any underwear on her.
Abby didn't have underwear on?
I mean, I couldn't see because it was all white, like pale skin. I want you to ask Andrea if she saw underwear. The jeans that were on Abby, they held them up. They were in the water. They were inside out. And as you're holding them, probably about, I would say, where your knees would be if you had them on. That's where the underwear were hanging, right below the knee area. And they were kind of it looked like, because they were wet, kind of a dark pink. So
okay, do you have a list of what was found where and who was wearing what? Did you write that down by chance? Can you just read us that? And then I want to let you go because I want you to be able to drive home.
Yeah, so the shirt, by the way, the shirt that was like the spaghetti strap shirt or whatever, you could probably find it at I think this is a Walmart shirt. It was.
But is it in the creek? That's why I said if we can just go through what's where, so we can. I just want to make sure we're clear on which. Libby is nude, in the creek is clothes, and on Abby's clothes. So let's go over what's in the creek.
Let's in the creek. It's a kind of a gray shirt. In the middle, it's got something pink, like little pink writing on it. He said it was Faded Glory. He said it's a size large. It says 10 to 12. That's the size he said.
Is that a sweatshirt?
No, that's the like the sort of tank top that has spaghetti straps, and it seemed almost like a nightshirt, like an undershirt type. Okay. And then he said the next item that was in the creek, and you could see the picture. They were jeans, and they were inside out. And on those jeans were these dark pink underwear that were still attached to them. Okay, those were in the water. The other thing that was in the water was a tie-dye t-shirt, extra large, inside out. There was debris on it from the creek. In the creek, there was also an ankle sock, and he called it an ankle sock. He said black or dark blue. To me, it looked black. He said both colors. He said, because it's black or dark blue. There was also like a handkerchief, or he said like a bandana type thing. And it had debris all over it. It looked like it was really muddy that he pulled out of there. And then then the shoe, the Nike shoe. And it was the left shoe in the water. Oh, guess what? Guess what else was in the water? There was a gray object that was very submerged, and they pulled it out, and it was the zip-up hooded sweatshirt that was like fleece cotton.
The one that Abby had on.
Yes.
So the sweatshirt was in the water too.
Yeah. Oh, they were showing. This just kind of made me think of it. I know I'm going to go off a little bit. There was. We'll talk about that later. Like they were showing the hands of the girls. They actually pulled down the shirt of the hands, and Abby's hands were clean. Like they looked pretty clean. No blood or anything on them. But there was one. It was weird because there was like a weird stick formation. Like it looked like two twigs that were stuck down in there. I mean, I don't know what. I don't know.
Like in her sweatshirt.
Yeah, kind of. So they pulled the sweatshirt down from her hand, and her hands like this, and in her hand, like you could see like two twigs that almost like was a V. Nobody said anything about it, but I'm like, I said, what are those twigs doing there? Like that was weird to me, but it could have just been, you know, they pulled them up and they got caught in there, but it was just like these little two twigs that were like that was in,
That's
what
weird.
was it? Yeah,
Another
I thought it was weird. I'm like, that kind of looks like the stick formations that they were doing around the rest of the body, but it was like in a hand. So I don't know what that means. I don't even know if it means anything.
Okay.
So
So let's go with what was found on Abby.
so that Abby had that sweatshirt, the Delphi swimming sweatshirt, and it had German on it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the pink shirt underneath that.
Okay.
And then the sports bra looks sort of grayish to me, but I couldn't tell. Sort of grayish looking sports bra.
Okay.
And then jeans. Nobody said whose jeans or anything, but there's jeans on her.
Okay.
There is one shoe on her.
On Abby?
Yeah.
Both her shoes are on.
Wait a minute.
Her Converse?
Yeah. The shoes are on, no socks.
No socks.
No socks. Sorry.
But they only found one sock. They only found one sock in the creek.
Yeah. Yeah. Underneath Abby, Libby's shoe was on its side. And when they rolled her over, like if she's laying down and you roll her over onto her right side, the shoe was like the way the shoe was sitting. If I went around and looked like this, it's just you see the bottom of the shoe. And then just underneath that shoe a little bit is Libby's phone, and it was the screen was upright, and it kind of had purple around it. She had one of those cases. It was the Harry Potter. It was kind of purple. It had some yellow on it. I'm not that familiar with Harry Potter, so they named what, like, you know, it was some case that she had on, and they said that the phone had a little bit of, like, I don't know,
like a Dobby case or a Hagrid case or a Hermione case.
Kind of like that, but it was. I'll find it because I want to look it up now. It's in my notes somewhere. I wrote it down. So they got the shoe. They looked at her. See, they were looking at Abby's shoes and noted that she didn't have socks on. I think they were looking at for some reason they were looking around her ankle. But she didn't really have any, I mean, other than her neck injury, it didn't look like she had any other injuries. Now, Libby, when they rolled her over, she was all looked like abrasions all on her backside. A lot like abrasions, like from the top to the bottom, abrasions, like she had been dragged. They didn't say anything about that at the time, but like she had been dragged. And then of course that right heel, there's something happened to that right foot. That right foot.
Yeah, they said that, and they believe she was actually like walking in her own blood at one point. That's what the state witness had said during the 3-day hearing. So drag, and that there was the drag marks that from moving her over from the one tree to the other. I want to go back to the clothes really quick though, because we were told, I think it was Ron Logan's stuff, when we were told that we were missing one sock and one pair of underwear. So I'm confused because it seems like we're missing 3 socks.
Well,
if Abby has no socks on, Libby has no socks on, they only find one sock in the creek. Is somebody not, I mean, I think it would be important to know whether somebody just went there with no socks on. You know what I'm saying?
you know, they had I think they had a pink sock. Yeah, they had one. They had add to in the creek a pink sock.
So wait, there's 2 socks in the creek?
Yeah, sorry. There was they held up the pink sock.
Okay, hold on.
It looked kind of, because it was wet. It almost looked the color of your shirt that you have on that I can see right now. That's what color this sock look. Kind of almost, it's like
I
a
have
salmon.
that photo. We have that photo.
It's not like a bright pink. Not the one they were showing. It's like a sort of looks like the color of your shirt.
This is orange. You probably can't tell
Is
that. But
it?
yeah,
Okay. Oh, so
orange.
it did look like a little salmony pink, but it was because it had been in
Yeah.
the water. Everything they held up was okay. Now I want to say something too. This, remember we were always told that there was like maybe socks and underwear missing, according to the Ron
We
Logan
always were
PD.
told there was one sock and one pair of underwear missing. So that's what I'm trying to figure out, because right now we're missing a bra, unless there is 2 bras on Abby. Which did they bring that up today? Because that's what the Franks memo says. And then
Not not that I took my notes. I didn't hear 2 bras because they said, what's that? They said it's a sport bra. Now, did they say, they didn't say anything that there was a bra underneath it or anything, but could there have
okay.
been? I don't know. It looked like that sport bra fit her pretty well. It looked like
And
her bra.
was there any bra found in the water?
No. No. You know what? The sock and the underwear thing. I want to see if anybody knows this, if you guys have watched somebody else that's there. I want to know. I didn't see, and nobody talked about underwear, Abby's underwear. Because I think those are Abby's underwear on those jeans, and she's got Libby's jeans on, so Libby's underwear have to be missing, right?
Libby's
Where's
underwear would be missing. Yeah. Can
Libby's
you
on?
tell us what this item is? Now that you've seen the items from the creek, do you know what this item is right here?
The multicolored shirt,
Well, that's
and
the tie-dye
then,
shirt,
and
right?
is that
And
the
then
handker? I think that's the handkerchief thing that they found.
this is
Is that what I'm? Okay, the items that I named.
you've
Yeah,
got the jeans are right here. There's a lot of debris on them, so it's hard to tell. There's the shoe. You said there's an ankle sock that's blue or black,
yeah.
but I don't think we have a picture of that.
Mm-hmm.
And
No,
then underwear on the jeans, you can't really see that. And then also you said they had the gray sweatshirt was actually in the water. There could be. Let me see the other picture. Hold on.
submerged in the water. Yeah, those items that I gave you.
It just seems like we're missing more clothes than what was initially reported.
Oh, so the handkerchief was collected with debris on it. Ankle sock. The black Nike shoe. The gray zip up hoodie. You know, the tie dye shirt, the jeans with the underwear still attached inside out. Those, so we can, I mean, those underwear have got to be, they were attached, like, if you took your pants off inside
Yeah.
out, you took everything off, they got to be, those have got, that's got to be Abby's. And then Libby's jeans were put back on Abby. They did ask what size.
So it would be, right now we don't know where Libby's bra is. We don't know where so Libby's underwear and
2 socks.
No, now we're down to 2 socks, but see, that's kind of weird to me too, because we were always told 1 sock. And so the bra, if we go with what the defense said in the Franks, which hopefully we'll get clarification on, is that she had on Libby's bra. She had on Libby's bra and her own bra. Could you tell by the sports bra picture if it looked like that sports bra was too big for her?
It didn't look too big. That's what I was surprised about, because I thought we were going to see like this bra that was put on her that was barely, that barely fit her.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, that you're going to see like a sports bra with another bra on the top of it kind of thing.
Yeah, that it was going to be just like huge on her. But no, it looked like her bra. Like if I was going to work out and put a workout bra on, that's kind of like it looked like something that was fitted to her. It didn't look like it was, too large. I decided I'm going to have to head home because it's. But I
Yeah,
can
no,
stay
I'm
on
gonna let you go
if you
anyway.
have
I
more
just wanted,
questions. But
no, I
like,
wanted to be able to ask you about that last witness. Let me just see if I had any
yeah,
other notes
yeah,
from him real
the
quick.
questions about him. Yeah, just ask me.
This sure was on
Now
Abby.
I just for you, just FYI, Andy was getting ready to cross-examine him, and the judge decided to end it because it was like 20 till 6, I think. And she's just like, okay, sorry to do this, but we're going to stop right in the middle of this witness and we'll resume it again tomorrow.
Okay. The only other thing, so he's the one that from mainstream media reports is that he's the witness who says that the sticks did have blood on them, while the other witness said they didn't have blood, so they weren't
Correct.
collected. So we just need to get some clarification on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's correct because I did hear both, and I wrote down both, and so in my mind I'm like, okay, this guy didn't think that, but the guy that processed the crime scene, like the sticks and all that, and took
Yeah.
all the evidence, he said that there was, he said, well, we don't always take. He said we have to determine, what are we going to take here? Like, there's just some things that if they're not evidentiary, like, and he's like, what if there's blood on a stick? Is that not a reason to collect? Isn't that a reason to collect it? That's what
Yeah.
I think Baldwin said. But yeah, there was that discrepancy. I wasn't thinking about it at the time because in my mind, I hadn't heard there was blood. But when the guy said there was blood, and I figured he's the one processing the crime scene, then he knew more because he's paying more attention to the details of what he's picking up. The other guy's taking photographs of it all.
Huh.
But overall, man, it was it was shocking, and it was it was horrifying to see the pictures. Not like I already I knew what to expect. And me being in the medical field, but it didn't impact me the way maybe some other people, but it did tug at my heartstrings for the thought of these girls having to go through this, their family
Just how,
having
yeah.
to see this, just everything, But it was. I was glad that I
It's a
was
tough
there
day.
today. There was
It's
not.
a tough day.
What's that? Am I fading
It's a
out?
tough day to, yeah, you're fading out, but it's a tough day to be in court. Everybody is thanking you in chat, and we're gonna let you drive home, so
Thank
you're driving home safe in the
Okay,
dark.
thank you guys.
Oh,
Thank
no.
you guys. I'm
Thank you
sorry
for
that I
joining.
wasn't better
No, thank you
about it, but
so
I need
much.
food.
Thank you.
My brain is fried right now. So thank you guys.
Go
I'll
eat.
talk to you
I love
tomorrow.
you. Thank you for being here with us. I appreciate it so much, like more than I can even share. I just appreciate you coming and sharing what your experience in the courtroom was. So, but just drive home safely. Go eat some dinner. Just be careful. I don't even know if you can hear me anymore, but we love you and thank you very much for being here. I don't know if she can hear me anymore though. Oh, can you hear me? Trying to see if I can get her to reconnect real quick just to say goodbye to her, but all right. Well, we'll let her drive home. Okay, so we got a lot of info from today, and so I'll just go over the last one, what the mainstream media has said about the last witness, which is Olehi. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. He's another CSI investigator, spelled Oleyhy. He's the last one that was on the stand today. So 4 witnesses. He talks about Abby and Libby's shoes, the clothing, and the cell phone. So this is from Angela on Twitter. It says Libby's shoe is found in the river. We know that. Second shoe is found under Abby. We know that. Libby's phone's under Abby's shoe. We know that. Libby's shirt was on Abby. That's the sweatshirt. I don't know why people keep saying it's a shirt because Libby's shirt is not found on Abby. Libby's other clothes were inside out and in the creek. That doesn't make sense because then there's the jeans. There's the discrepancy on the jeans situation. So Libby's other clothes can't be in the creek if Libby's clothes are on Abby. Abby's hands were inside the shirt, clutched on her chest, and here we go. Feet were pointed north. So Angela Ganotti says the feet were pointed north. We'll see if we can get some corroboration on that. This investigator said the branches from the crime scene discussed earlier did have blood on them and were recovered and taken into evidence. This investigator says 2 days later. So that's a discrepancy from the earlier witness who said they weren't taken in until 3/3. So another thing that we need to get some clarification on. Russ McQuaid, who was in the courtroom, he did do an interview at lunchtime, and he said that it looked like the sticks. He didn't want to get too far into it, you could tell, but he was saying that it looked like the sticks to him were intentionally placed into geometric types of shapes. They clarified that there was a photo of the bullet in the ground, but it was their only photo. No photos of it coming out of the ground. You can't see the end of it, the other end of it, and the defense hits hard on the chain of custody from it being in the ground and being placed into evidence. So the defense went hard on that witness for that one. So, but we'll do what we normally do. We'll go. I know that the Andrea Burkhart is live, and Lawyer Lee should be live as well. I believe Bob is going live a little bit later, so I'm going to take notes on those lives, and then when we go live tomorrow, we'll do kind of like what we did before. We'll do a recap of day 3 and then head into day 4. When I see you guys tomorrow, I'm going to try to be on here between 1 and 2 my time. That's the plan. So I will see you guys tomorrow. I cannot transport you over to Andrea Burkhart's live because she does not have it set up on her end for me to just like to teleport everybody. So if one of the wrenches wants to drop, I think medical examiner is going to be there tomorrow or Wednesday. That's my thought is medical examiner's coming up pretty quick. That's where it looks like they're headed. But thank you guys for being here. All of you guys who have been here since the beginning of the live. I just really appreciate you guys. I appreciate the support that you guys give me, and you're the reason that I am on here. So just thank you for being here. I cannot thank you enough. But if somebody wants to drop Andrea's link, that would be great. And like I said, we'll head over there, and I'll take some notes from Lawyer Lee's and her live. I don't know if Tom Webster is still in court or still going to court. I have not heard, but I like to listen to his too. But right now I'm going to go listen to Andrea's and go cook some dinner. But as always, I know that you guys have other places that you could spend your time, and those of you who still chose to spend your time here with me, just know there's not enough thanks in the world for that. So go enjoy the rest of your Monday, and I will see you guys mañana.
Do you dare to follow me down? Head into the unknown, down the rabbit hole, where it stops no